Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning. Happy Football Friday to all across the Delaware Valley. I cannot wait there. Now, Eagles, Dallas. Come on. Let's go. Oh, man, it's going to be fun. They're going to rout them. You know what? I was thinking about this yesterday because I feel like it's kind of dead. And then we had a show, and it was a lot of fun. And there was it went back in time. My man, Pat McClune, former editor of the Daily News, talked all about some of the past stuff. And I got really juiced up. And I talked to my buddy Tooch, and he was fired up. He's like, dude, Eagles, Dallas, let's go. And we started talking about how much we hate them. And it's a good HH, healthy hate. You like alliterations, VG. Healthy hate is a good thing. We are presented by Rite Aid, your neighborhood pharmacy. RiteAid.com. It is, the place to get all your scripts, flu shots, anything you need around the house, like paper towels and paper plates. My house goes through so many paper plates and paper towels. I don't understand. We go through thousands of paper plates, and there's always dishes in the sink. I don't know. I digress. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Sunday. It is Eagles Dallas. And let's talk about it. We have a 5-day stretch, 2 games, 2 highly important division games. Like the whole season really rests on the next 2 games because you don't want to slip up against Dallas. Washington has Pittsburgh at home. So, let's go Steelers. But, you got to beat Dallas. You can't have any slip-ups. I don't know. All of a sudden, I'm reading about Cooper Rush. Like, Cooper Rush is the next coming of Joe Burrow, right? Like, are we serious? Cooper Rush. Like, come on. Really. You got to win. And then it sets up for the showdown at home against Washington. And let's be real here. You want to win a division. It's all about the division. That sets you up for the best path. You got to win the division. You don't want to be a wild card and have to go to Detroit or have to go to, San Francisco, wherever that comes out of the West. You don't want to do that. So you need the division, and it's a big game Thursday night. 2 divisions, Dallas and Washington. And I have to tell you, I love the fact that Washington is back. Like, there's something about division NFC East games that I just will always love. Like, they're the greatest in the world. So, this is a huge monster 5 days ahead of them. We're going to talk to Jeff McLane from the Inquirer, who does such a great job covering the Birds. Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network. He's going to get us all set up. So we got lots to get to cover this. But there was also some bad news yesterday. Tyrese Maxey, hamstring. He's going to be out for a few weeks. They're 1-6. This is the absolute worst time to have to deal with an injury to Maxey. Like, the Maxey injury, that comes out of left field. Now, he leaves the game. I watched it. He's leaving the game. And you go, oh, my God, hammy. We've been through it. In fact, our Rothman doc every Friday always talks about this stuff. We went through a hamstring thing. That's the worst possible injury because it lingers, right? So you got to make sure, whatever you do, you got to make sure that when Maxey comes back, he's 100%. There's no risk of re-injuring the hamstring. The problem is they're 1-6. So you got Noah B for at least 2 more games, right? You have this West Coast trip. I don't know. I don't know how you survive without Maxey. He's more important than Paul George, and he's probably more important than Embiid because he's got the ball in his hands. They needed, I talked about this before, about a real backup one. I know you got Lowry. I know you got a couple veterans that can do it. But you're going to miss him in a big way. And scary. Like, you're 1-6 right now. What happens? Are you going to wind up being a playing team? It's early, But all of a sudden, when you dig a big hole, it puts a lot of pressure on you. So that was not good yesterday. And last night, it was the good and the bad. The good was a great effort in Tampa. That Fedotov played well. They're able to beat, not that anybody watched, because it's on ESPN Plus. We were talking about it earlier. Like, where are the Flyers? Where are the Flyers? I turn on Comcast Sportsnet. There's no Flyers, right? I'll go, oh, yeah, it's right, the ESPN Plus game. That sucks, right? It sucks. Because most of us went to the football game and had the Flyers game on your phone looking at it, which is what I did. As you looked at it and you went, all right, well, they're playing well. I listened to a part of the game. And, look, the good thing about it is that you went to Tampa. Fedotov didn't get scorched by Kucherov. He hit the one goal, and that was it. So you were able to get the point. The bad or the kind of weird thing goes back to what my boy keeps talking about, and that's Matvey being a scratch. Now, this is Tortorella exercising whatever it is in his head. I just don't understand it, right? Like, I don't know what he's not doing or why you need to be heavy-handed with Michkov. And I'm sure it's hey, he's a kid, and we're going to bring him along, and every time he gets too high, we got to knock him back down, and we got to mold him. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, other than I need him in the lineup. And there's a talk, and JP said it before the show, that he could get. Charlie were talking last night that he could get scratched again on Saturday, which is not good. The last thing you want to get involved in is Michkov all of a sudden being scratched. And is there an issue? I will say this. The good thing is that I trust Jonesy and Danny Briere. Keith Jones and Danny Briere, they know that Michkov is the prized jewel of the organization. So they're not going to let anyone, including the head coach, including La Torta, they're not going to let him mess with Michkov if they believe that it's a negative. So obviously they got to be on board with this thing and how you're bringing him along. So right for now, I'll go benefit of the doubt to Jonesy and Briere, but like everybody else, including the man to my left, VG, I'm a little concerned. All right? Because the last thing you want is all of a sudden an angry young Russian. He's the crown jewel of the franchise. So the last thing you want is any kind of acrimony there. Good morning, my boys.
Dallas week, baby.
I love it. Let's go.
I
love it.
Hate it. Never been to Dallas. Don't want to go to Dallas.
You never been there?
Nah, I wouldn't even take a free trip to Dallas. What? No interest.
Oh, I've been there way too many times. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I've been there way too many times.
Wait. Arlington.
Oh, now
Not Dallas.
maybe I go to Arlington.
Arlington.
Yeah. Well, no. So that whole region, it's a great city. I will say this. It's been fun. I had some fun in Dallas, the whole thing. But you're right in that.
You can't just play along with us. It's a stinky city.
Yeah. No, I know. It sucks. It blows.
Come on, man.
It blows. No, you're right. It blows. I don't know what I'm talking about. I was about to go into the whole dissertation about Dallas and what it was like and the whole thing, but who cares? It sucks. I agree.
There we go.
Dallas sucks.
Yeah,
I'll take
Michael Irvin stinks. Bill Bates stinks.
I love it because always has this internal conflict. I got to be the journalist, but I also got to be the fan.
Right. I always go try to be the sports guy and I go, oh, well, and I go, you know what, bleep it. They suck.
There we go.
Forget about it. They stink. Go beat them by 30 and call it a day. And that's what I want to see, right? I want to see it's not about style points, but I want to see a domination, man.
Yeah.
They got a backup quarterback going. They're a mess. The last thing you want is to give them any kind of life. You don't want to give any kind of magic to the backup quarterback and to what's going on in Dallas.
I want to snuff the life out of Jera for the weekend. I want him to be on the radio Monday cursing out people again.
Firing people.
Losing his mind.
Right?
Yeah.
He would fire somebody last week.
Probably
He's all up
McCarthy at
and
this
said,
point.
you're out. McCarthy, get out of here.
Yeah.
I love, get out of here, McCarthy.
He was like threatening to fire radio people that he doesn't even employ.
Why asking me that question? You suck, Jared. You suck. It's great. There's nothing better than watching the Cowboys in turmoil.
Oh,
that to me is a show that never gets old.
Never. I could watch this reality TV show all day.
Yes. It's everything about it. Like, I think back to what Dallas projects, right? Like the whole Texas Americana, big hats, big suburban homes.
Yes.
Right? Like oil.
Everything's
right?
bigger,
Wealth.
J.R. Ewing.
Right. Yeah. Like, cowboy cheerleaders.
Yes.
Right? Like that whole world is so antithetical to Philadelphia. Like Philadelphia, like we're so different, right?
Yeah.
We're a hard scrabble, we're flavor, we're Philadelphia, right? Like, that's really one of the roots of the rivalry goes back into the difference in the towns, right? Like we're so different than Dallas and Texas. Like we're old, we're Philadelphia, the first city, like the whole thing, the first capital. We go back, we have history and flavor, and that's just a boom town.
Did it start with like the NFL film stuff, like Steve Sable back in the day? Should do the
Oh,
America's team.
Yeah, the America's team was Gil Brandt, I guess.
Okay.
It was one of those things, and we've done the chapter and verse on that whole storyline, and it is amazing when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
That it still exists today. Like there is a cowboy bias in the media, because they sell, right? Like they sell. If you think about it, who are over the last 20 years, the biggest non-story in the NFL? Like they're not even the Colts,
No.
right? The Colts got to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
right? The Colts had Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
right? Like they went through it, right? They had success. That Indianapolis, they get more oxygen, right? In reality, they're just the Jaguars.
Yeah, you were
Right?
spot on with that.
Like they are. They're the Jaguars. Like, who are they?
And you've had two dynasty teams throughout that period as well. You've had the Patriots, you have the Chiefs now.
Yes.
They are nothing. They're dust.
They are. They're ancient dust. That's exactly right. They're a pharaoh's tomb. That's what they are.
Yeah, they're frauds. There's like, I know you don't love Untouchables, but at the end, De Niro, he's just like, you're all talking a badge. You're all talking a badge. Like, that's what the Cowboys feel like. All flair, all fluff. There's nothing behind it.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's Costner. Anti-Costner.
Kevin Costner.
But I was rooting Capone.
But I think Kevin touched on the Gandhi touched on this Wednesday. I always grew up being told they think they're better than us. They think
do.
They're better than us.
There's an elitist.
Yes.
Right? Like the elitist. Look, who likes an elitist?
Yeah.
Which is apropos for this week, right?
Yeah.
Like who likes an elitist? Nobody likes an
They're all
elitist. Like you come
smug.
out smug
Yeah.
and you know what's best for everyone. You don't bleep you, right? Like
Yes.
and
100%.
that's the issue with, you look at Dallas and that they've had a smugness and elitist. They're one of the NFL elites, right?
Yeah.
We hate the NFL elites. We've never been one. And even though the Eagles are among that now, record-wise over the last 25 years, they don't project themselves that way. There's no projection, and we don't project ourselves as elitists.
No, I think the ownership may want to be that.
Yeah.
But it'll never happen here.
Well, I'll never forget, like one of Jeffrey's first things was they want to be the Niners. Like the gold standard was San Francisco in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he wanted to build that kind of team.
Yeah.
Now, he's done it. I mean, obviously, they don't have the Super Bowl success, but he's done it, right? Like, he's built a team that has had that kind of and staying power, which is the beauty of what, those guys have done. Yeah. And all these years, it goes back to, never forget, like, Andy Reid owned the Cowboys.
He did.
Owned them.
He really did.
And, it was one piece that he never got enough credit for, I thought, was how he owned Dallas.
I don't even remember. He owned them.
Oh,
yeah.
see, you don't even remember.
No.
Go back and look at, first of all, just look at all the success. They were the kings of the division.
Yep.
They were the kings of the conference.
Yeah.
Right? I only remember one bad loss to Dallas, and it was
Don't bring it up, cuz. Don't bring it up.
what?
Are you talking about 09?
Yeah,
Back-to-back weeks?
back to back. Yeah,
I was so pissed off, cuz.
and that was really it.
Oh,
It was the year before was the Romo 44-6 game,
yes.
where Romo's pushing everybody off to the side of the punt team, telling them to go back, and it was dark, and we were just loving it. That was the day the unthinkable happened, and they made the playoffs, and they went on that run. It was awesome. The following year is when they lost. You're right, back to back.
I think they beat us 3 times.
But the back to back was worse. To end the season, to lose the division, that was for home field. That game, they lose, and that was the first year of Jerry World. And then they come back, and if you remember, they lose the playoff game. Donovan says, "Our receivers showed their youth." After the game, that was the air guitar.
Oh,
it's ironic.
Remember that?
Yes.
Coming out,
Yes.
Pregame, air guitar. And you know what's funny?
The
When-
worst
when-
air guitar I've ever seen.
Like when Donovan thinks about why sometimes he gets guff, part of it was that, right?
It was like if you asked someone who never even seen a guitar, just explain to it what it is, they would do a better air guitar than he did.
I got the music guy killing him for over the guy. I love it.
worst.
It's fantastic.
He really lacked accountability, cuz.
Yes. Well, that game, saying, "Hey, our receivers showed their youth." It was mcLane, I guess it was
Yeah.
Sean. You can't say that.
No.
And I remember Kevin Cobb. Well, listen, he was a flop, but I remember Kevin Cobb telling me that he was talking to Donovan right after the game or whatever, and he's like, "Whatever you do, don't don't talk about the receivers." I guess they had a bad game or whatever, and that was the first thing he said was, "Our receivers showed their youth."
Didn't you go fishing with Kevin Cobb or something?
I did.
Wow.
I went fishing with him. He had there's a high school in Texas, not far from Dallas, about an hour away, that had all these quarterbacks, and it was Friday Night Lights. It was like all that stuff, and so I met him. He had a ranch right down around there,
Okay.
and I met him. It was like June, right?
Uh-huh.
It was 1,000 degrees.
Of course.
We go on one of these boats on a lake
Nice.
on his property, right?
Oh my God.
Fishing. He caught this snake. It was like a gigantic
I'm sorry, what?
snake. Gigantic. It looked like one of these sea serpents, right? Come out of the water. And he's like, look, grabbing it. And I'm like, get the hell out of here.
I'm so out on that.
Yeah,
Take me to shore. I'm done.
he was one of those outdoors dudes, like rough, I was like, God
Texas
bless,
boy.
man. I'm out. Oh, he was Texas boy, yeah. All that. But it was again, that whole thing, this whole Eagles-Dallas thing, now's the time to step on them. Just step on them.
Yeah, and Matthew Haas, good. They're not the Jaguars. The Jags actually made a championship game in the 21st century.
That's a great point.
Oh, that is a great point.
Great point.
Love it.
Yeah.
They're really, all the oxygen that they get,
They're irrelevant.
they are.
They're the Browns, cuz.
With Blake
Yeah.
Bortles as well.
Yes. Good memory.
Yeah.
But
Dude, they had
Bortles,
Tony Romo.
Yeah.
He couldn't do anything. That's crazy.
It doesn't look like there's
he
any.
was overrated. It was another guy
but
way overrated. Again, these guys, they're the most it's getting, because they're Cowboys, they get overrated. Look, Ceedee Lamb is terrific, all right?
Mhm.
He's no Jamar Chase.
Damn.
Wow, that was outrageous
Game
last
last
night.
night.
But he's legit. He's completely legit.
He was their best quarterback since Troy Aikman, though.
What's that?
He was their best quarterback since Troy Aikman.
What's that saying?
Well, I mean,
He wasn't better than Donovan.
No, he was not better.
He wasn't better than Donovan. So how good was he?
I mean, Donovan for a couple of years, though, he was one of the best quarterbacks
He was
in the NFL.
He was, but again, Romo was a flop. He was
He was
the
just
only
stat
guy. Remember, he
pattern,
went to Cancun for
Dude,
during
they
the bye
killed
week
him.
of the playoffs
Yeah.
with his girlfriend.
Jessica Simpson, right?
Yeah, yes.
At that time?
Yes, yes,
He had
yes.
like a different
He
celebrity
was so
girlfriend of the week.
anti-clutch.
He was anti-clutch. Is right. He was terrible. He was a choker, which was great. Maxie, real quick.
Ugh.
Dude, yesterday
I'm worried
I
about
said
that.
it. I said just sit them. While everyone's sitting, just sit them so you don't get hurt.
Yeah.
I never want everybody's like, oh, it's the beginning of the season. It's the beginning of the season. We have to wait until, April and all that stuff. Well, like, come on.
You got to get there.
Like, we got to get there.
Let's just
how big is this
The
hole going to be?
Maxey thing, man, it's the one guy you can't lose. He's the one guy, and whatever you do, you got to make sure he's 100%, man. Like, because if he's dinged for the whole year, they're done. They have no chance.
I think we got one bad year in us. So we can get through one bad year and be crappy for Cooper.
Dude, we're going to get your boy.
Cooper Fly.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're so far into it. We're 1-6.
Oh,
no.
Let's go.
Everybody give everybody a year
Crap
off.
for Cooper.
Everybody,
Dylan Bean,
everybody
relax for a
rest
year.
for a year.
Everybody come back.
Yeah.
That's something the Spurs would do.
And he was giving me crud last week because he played one game. Now look at him. He wants him on the team.
I know. He's all about the Coop.
I mean,
Well, listen, we got Cooper DeJean. Let's get all the Coopers.
Coopadelphia. I'm saying it. Coopadelphia. Coop.
I'm all about the Coops. All right. Let me tell you, let's talk about some of our friends. And we'll talk about Golden Nugget Jewelers. It's where Philly gets engaged. I tell you all the time. If you met that special somebody and you decide that I'm going to get married, do yourself a favor. All right. Go see my man, Yaron, at Golden Nugget Jewelers. And, life can be tough, right? Like life's difficult. But you know what? You start off in the right direction. You get it going. And you're going to need your own throughout the life of your marriage. All right. So not just the ring, but there's holidays and birthdays and anniversaries. You want to make sure you go see Golden Nugget Jewelers. It's where Philly gets engaged, right in the heart of Jewelers Row. All right, you got engagement season going on, man. You got Thanksgiving, the day after, the day of, the night before. All that stuff. It's so much fun. To romantic time, Christmas and New Year's. So go see your own GoldenNuggetJewelers.com. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged.
Hey, all you guys who may be follically challenged like myself, don't end up like me and wait too long. Go see our friends over at Glatt Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical, established by the late, great Dr. Paul Glatt. It's now part of the Morgenstern Center under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon Ken Morgenstern. Dr. Morgenstern is a nationally recognized specialist and among the few surgeons in the country trained in oculofacial plastic surgery. Him and Dr. Glatt shared a remarkable bond that spanned many years. They worked as colleagues and friends. They collaborated on research. They worked together in the operating room. So what makes Glatt Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical better? Well, it's the same peerless approach to care, the same unmatched Glatt system, same state-of-the-art location, and stellar results. Each member of this exceptionally trained team brings 30-plus years of industry experience in hair restoration. That's all they do. Glatt Hair can help during all stages of hair loss with leading-edge treatments for prevention and restoration, including laser light therapy and non-invasive TED treatments. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment, and a patient care advocate will work with you from your first phone call to your last follow-up. Glatt Hair isn't just about restoration, it's about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments really do dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional if you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself. Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit GlattHairMCTR.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
All right, buddy. All right. It's Dallas week. Big game. I had to get my man in from the Inquirer. He does a great job. He's been doing it for a long time. Must follow, must read. Jeff McLane joins us. Good morning, Jeffrey.
Hey, what's up?
You look good. What's the background?
That's just my kitchen. I don't know. I have it like all fuzzy, so you can't.
Yeah, it looks good. You look cool coming out of the clouds.
All right, good. Yeah,
right? It looks good, man. I like it. I like
got
the
my
cloud
glasses on and my hat. Sorry, I haven't
No,
exactly.
you look
shot
good,
yet.
bro. You look mysterious. You look like a spy.
You didn't recognize me. That's what it was. I shocked you.
Ethereal.
Yeah, you look ethereal. That's exactly right. I love
There
it.
you go.
Hey, real quick, just to start this off. I was saying this earlier. I don't think Andy Reid gets enough credit for owning the Cowboys. You remember that time you covered, you started during that era, and he owned them. He owned the division, he owned the conference, and he owned those matchups.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I was kind of at the end there, and the 2009 season didn't end quite well against the Cowboys. If you recall, they lost.
We talked about
game
that.
this
That was the
season.
only blemish was the back-to-back losses. I was just telling the story. about Cobb telling Donovan, whatever you do, don't blame the receivers, because the receivers were young, had a difficult game. And the first thing Donovan said was, we showed our receivers showed our youth.
Which was kind of ridiculous because Deshaun Jackson was the best receiver in 2008, just a year before as a rookie. So he didn't perform well in that playoff game, Deshaun. And in fact, over his entire career, aside from that few good games in 2008, every time he went to the playoffs, he didn't perform well. But yeah, I mean, Andy Reid dominated the division for a long time for the most part. And we've now seen the Eagles lose 6 straight at Dallas. Different coaches, different teams, but certainly they have a little bit of a home field advantage there, as we all well know.
So taking us today, like we talked about the rivalry and the whole thing, and I don't know I don't know if I feel it from the outside because of my age and growing up with that team. Like, that will always be a circle game, and throughout the years, certain coaches and players they bought into it. Does this group buy into it?
Yeah, I find that it's less important to these guys than it was when I first started covering the team. Maybe they were just kind of giving lip service back then too, just to play to the fans,
Some
play to
guys
the
actually
city.
really meant it. Like, I remember Trot. Like, Trot would love playing Dallas. Not part of it. He's a Texas guy.
Again, it's a division game, so it's more important to these guys, certainly. And then you see them twice a year, so that amps the intensity up a little bit. So I think it's not like the rest of the games. It's certainly the case, but in terms of like having a hatred for the Cowboys, I don't know if I sense that as much. Maybe there's individual guys, but as you see now after games, there's like a lot of exchanging of jerseys. Like these guys,
fraternal.
There isn't much hatred, I think, between players because of they know each other better, because it's so much easier to the pre-draft process. They get recruited to these colleges, a lot of the big name guys. So, I don't think it's anywhere near what obviously with the way fans feel about it.
What are you gleaning from coming out of there? Obviously, with Cooper Rush now starting, they're wounded. Their defense has been beleaguered. The owners doing their thing. They're a big, giant mess, it appears. 2 ancient running backs.
This may be the worst I've seen the Cowboys since I've covered the team, and obviously entering this game with no Dak Prescott, it may be the quote unquote the worst team that the Eagles will be facing. But that being said, there's still a lot of talent on that roster. But the thing offensively, it's like McCarthy's West Coast offense. I don't know how much innovation there's been in terms of what he's always done. The run game's not very good. And typically that's been a strength. They could always rely on that if they wanted to. Rico Dowdle's not a bad running back, and they have an all-pro guy in Zach Martin and Tyler Smith. He's really good to guard, but like they're not as strong in the tackles. They're playing the rookie Tyler Guyton, who I thought maybe the Eagles would have drafted. So they're just not as strong up front. And then of course, even before Dak's injury, it's like it's DD and they don't really have much else besides that. Injuries have been a problem, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's where it's the most alarming, because look, you lose Dan Quinn, and very good defensive coordinator, and you replace him with like another old head in Mike Zimmer. And Zimmer's been away from the game a little bit. I don't know if it's the personnel issues that they have, but this scheme, if you watch it on film, Anthony, it doesn't look very creative. He's got to rely, and now that could be personnel. He can't do the things he,
And listen, when you subtract Micah from it, I mean, it all falls apart.
And DeMarcus Lawrence, and then of course Deron Bland. So they're missing their top guys. Now it looks like Micah might play on Sunday, so they're getting somebody back. But we'll see how much he can move around in terms of coming off that injury. I think he's had a hamstring or a foot. He's had a foot. So we'll see how that plays out. But this is the time for the Eagles to win in Dallas.
Yeah, this is it. And look, you begin a stretch, 5 days, 2 monster division games, right? Because you don't want to slip up in Dallas, and then you turn around, come home, and it's the showdown, right? It's the showdown with Jaden Daniels in Washington. This is a fun, 5 days it's going to be that will kind of give you the direction of the season, because you want the division. I mean, you don't want to have to slog through a wild card spot.
No, I mean we're going to find out a lot about this team over the next 2 games and 5 days within that span, in that span of 5 days. And look, I mean the Cowboys again. I just don't think you can sleep on this team. Not only because you're going on the road, and I know it's Cooper Rush, and the Eagles had faced him 2 years ago. He had won 4 games, if you recall, going into that matchup at the Link, and he didn't perform well. He threw 3 interceptions, but they somehow kind of slugged it out and carried it into the fourth quarter, and it was like a 1-score game, and the Eagles scored late. I think Jalen Hurts hit Devontae Smith for a touchdown to ice it. But obviously different teams, different players, etc. But you still got Ceedee. You still got to worry about Micah Parsons. Micah over Fred Johnson without any help is a mismatch. We all, right? That's going to be trouble for the Eagles. They still have other guys. On the outside, they still have I'm forgetting Bland's counterpart at cornerback.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good. He can get turnover. He hasn't got this year, and he's definitely you can exploit him with double moves, and I'm sure we'll see AJ try that a few times. They're going to try and set him up, but they have players.
So look conversely from the Eagles standpoint, when you look at their let's go offense, so you get Goddard back, right? Health wise, they're good, right?
Well, I mean, they had a lot of guys on the injury list this week, and so I think guys are kind of banged up. That was a really physical game they played against the Jags that went, longer than it really needed to in terms of like competitiveness.
Yep.
But it looks like they're going to have everybody who can be available. Dallas Goedert's back, and I think there's potential advantages there versus their safeties. It looks like Slay is trending towards coming back. And of course, AJ, he's been practicing all week. Devontae had a hamstring injury. He kind of popped up on the injury list on Wednesday, and they didn't practice him, but he was a go yesterday. So it looks like most guys are going to be able to go. So
where are they, in your eyes, where are they offensively, right? Like you could see it. It feels like they're close, right? They've looked pretty good over the last couple of weeks, kind of trending toward understanding their identity, what they are. And, obviously Barkley's elite of the elite. But, they seem, even when AJ goes down, they were able to go, that over route to Devontae was great. And they feel like offensively, they feel pretty good.
Right. Because when they didn't have AJ early in the season, they were kind of lost a little bit, or Jalen was lost a little bit. And now it's just asking less of Jalen. So he averaged like 39 drops per game in the first 4, only 26 the last few games. Now, the fact that they've gotten ahead in some games with big margins, and so in the fourth quarter they've been able to run the ball. But this is, if you look at the first half numbers, it's very even. In fact, I think it's slightly in favor of the run. They are, they went into the bye, and we, at this point we all know about this. Like Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson went to the coaches. Now, this is something that I've been told that like Nick and Kellen saw it. I mean, they were going in this direction the same way they were in 2021. I think Kellen's offense, it's been a lot for Jalen. I mean, this is another scheme, another play call that he's had to get used to. So they're dialing back a little bit on that. And then they're going back to more of what we saw in Sirianni's offense, in particular on the ground from 21 to 23. Now, with Kellen's motions, his bunch, it's like they're able to make it look a little more different versus, and that was kind of part of the reason that teams caught up to him in 23 is it wasn't looking much different, and Nick's offense was very static. It didn't have a lot of the motion, but now you're adding that to the run scheme, and with Stoutland and the way he coaches these guys up, and their combo blocks, and they're bringing the outside zone into it, and as you mentioned, just like it's pretty simple. Hand the ball off to your best player.
Yeah.
And he'll set.
That's exactly right.
He'll set up the pass.
Like that's the difference, right? You look at the difference between 22 and what the success was great. I think it was a scheme, and the fact that Jalen, so his mobility, it really caught defenses. But now you have Barkley, right? So you have an elite, you still have a great offensive line, like you said with Stoutland, but now you have Barkley, you have an elite player. And then everything works off of that. And then, you and I talked about this before, where I always thought, like, you don't want Jalen throwing the ball 39 times. You just don't. I mean, you want him throwing the ball 25 times and having a run game to play off of. That's where he's most effective.
Right. And it's different than it was in 22, but in terms of like Jalen, it just feels like where he's more comfortable back there. He looks more confident.
Yeah.
He looks better in terms of carrying the ball. And he's had some really nice runs. He's known when to scramble or when not to scramble for the most part. And I'm not going to say all of Jalen's issues are fixed here. I mean, even this past game, I think he completed like 75% of his throws. But like, if you watched the film, there were those fourth down plays were kind of mostly on Jalen.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't understand why people got so hard on Nick. I was like, they drew up receivers open, and call plays where receivers were open. Jalen just needed to make the throws.
Yeah.
But that being said, I don't want to take anything away from the way he's performing. I mean, he hasn't turned the ball over in these last 4 games. He's made some really nice throws. Now, he's got really good receivers. I mean, like, how many of those yards that he had on Sunday were Devontae, ridiculous catch in the end zone, Jahan Dotson, ridiculous catch downfield, and then you have like Saquon doing his thing. He had a ridiculous overshot with a nice pass. And I don't want to take anything away from Jalen, but they're running the offense that Jalen needs to run. And honestly, quite frankly, they're going to need him. I mean, if they start throwing another guy in the box and they're trying to stop Saquon, they're going to sell single high, and that's what happened in the second half of that game.
Yep.
Single high, they threw downfield. They got man coverage in certain circumstances, and they took advantage of it. And that's going to happen. But in terms of the Kellen scheme, I think it's just going to take a little longer than maybe they had hoped.
And look, I think that's part of the one throw that I think he makes his best throw is that deep ball, man. He drops it in the bucket, man. He can make that throw. I mean, and he's great at it. So
I know.
And I think you're right. I think because I know if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm selling out against Barkley, and I'm going to take my chances, go beat me, and there are going to be plays downfield to be made.
It's funny that Jalen was after the game. I don't know if you heard his press conference. Like, one of the reporters just kind of said, you obviously throw a really good touch. You have a really good touch in your deep ball. He's like, oh, that's the first time I've ever heard that. I'm like that's the one thing that we praise you probably the most for. So
I thought he was being facetious.
His mindset.
He was being serious?
I think he was being serious.
Wow. Yeah, because I think everybody said that. I've heard you say it. You and I discussed that years ago.
He's got
but the one
phenomenal
thing
touch in the ball.
is a drop in the bucket kid. Like, he's always been a drop in the bucket guy. Like, down the field, man, he makes that throw. Super Bowl. How about those throws down the field? I think we kind of talked about it.
It was just interesting to hear him.
Defensively, what's been the key to how well I think they've been buttoned up? Now, I love Mitchell and DeJean. Having those kids back there really, really helps. And Carter's been great. People don't say it because he's been doubled and tripled. I'm watching the film, and one of the reasons why you see Sweat really pop on Sunday was Carter is a monster.
Yeah, that was one of his better games. The same thing at the bye, they said, and it was a little bit before that too as well, but like, it's like personnel changes, right? I mean, one very obvious one, you bench Avonte Maddox for Cooper DeJean, instant upgrade right there, right? And then a little less of Jordan Davis on run downs. I mean, on passing downs, a little less of Bryce Huff on run downs. So they've kind of, shored up the defensive front, especially even if they're in a 4-man front, that you got a light box there. They have the personnel there. You got Bryce Huff off on 4-man front. He just can't do it. I mean, some times they'll have to do it, but generally they don't have him in that package. So that is kind of it's been personnel. He's tightened things up a little bit. And I think it's just, again, getting used to the scheme, Vic's scheme. It's going to take a little time for these younger guys. For the most part, they haven't played any really great offenses. Impressive against the Bengals, and I think that score wasn't truly reflective of how the Bengals were playing them. They were obviously on third down. They were terrible. Couple questionable decisions by Cincinnati there, but give credit where credit's due. They got the victory there. But I do feel like the potential
and going forward, Jeff, is having a run game for time of possession. Like, if you remember, they had a couple long drives that kept Burrow off the field a little bit. And they need rhythm. Well, you saw it last night, right? Like, they need a rhythm. Cincinnati needs that thing was a shootout last night. And the Eagles controlled the ball.
Right, complementary football, and that's another reason why they've kind of emphasized the run more too. Let's help our defense a little bit in terms of getting them off the field. I think the Eagles had like a 38-21 time possession advantage. I don't make a huge deal of time possession; that could be overrated, but I mean when it's that disparate, it means something. But yeah, I still have concerns about the edge rush and about the rush overall, especially if Jalen's getting double teamed a lot. And I think there'll be quarterbacks that they're going to have trouble with. Good quarterbacks, but you can say that about most defenses.
Do you think Hunt gets any time? Like I was talking to somebody during the trade deadline. It was like, well, from the Eagles' perspective, it was like we're not going to go get Clowney. He's not our kind of guy. We're not going to go like we got 5 guys. How many team I can't get the other guy on the field. I can't get Hunt on the field. Like it's like when you like that's their response to, hey, how come you didn't go get an edge guy?
Yeah, and if like a Myles Garrett or somebody that you can extend or keep around long term,
that makes sense. Right,
that'd be an elite guy. Then maybe you think about that one. But like they have like a lot of like good to like mid tier to developing guys at that position, right? Nolan and Jelix are young guys that you want to get on the field. Nolan's been playing better. I'm a little worried sometimes about him in the pass rush against decent left tackles and tackles in general. But Jelix, I think Jelix has got a little more pop as a pass rusher, as a edge rusher than Nolan does. He's not quite there in terms of like setting the edge against the run and doing some of the other things that Nolan can do. And Nolan, to his credit, has got a phenomenal motor. But yeah, you are right there that if you look at the personnel there, adding another edge rusher at the expense of the guys that they've invested in the draft didn't make much sense to them.
Yeah, I'm with you. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Jeff, you went over the injuries. How is Bryce Huff's hand?
Yeah, so they're saying, they said hand, and then Vic Fangio clarified that it was a wrist. I spoke to Huff yesterday at his locker stall and said, "How did that happen? Like you were hurt, and then you weren't playing. I think he played the last 2 snaps before the half. I was just looking at all 6 snaps on film." I didn't see any issue with the hand. And then he played the last 4 snaps of the game. And Vic said because guys were gassed, which makes sense. It's just a little odd that would happen in warm up. He's on the injury report. He's practiced fine. He says he's playing Sunday. My antenna goes up when something like that happens before the trade deadline. Why he only played 6 snaps in that game. Look, I mean, his snaps have gone down a little bit. We've seen him be a little better if he's just like kind of like pin his ears back, 4-point stance. He can do that and get some push. But for the most part, if we're talking about Huff, it's been a little bit of a disappointment.
I guess the last thing, Jeff, is the tush push. Did they lose any confidence in that? And if you see 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 on Sunday, did they go back to that, or did they go Barkley?
Well, I mean, if you look at the past game, they must have lost a little confidence because on 4th and 1, 4th and inches, really, they ran that fake off of it. Now, the Jaguars did a nice job of clogging the middle. I think, it hasn't been as successful this year. It's been pretty successful, but it hasn't been as successful as it was previously. And, Cam Jurgens has done a nice job at center, but he's not Jason Kelce. So what they've done at times is they've had, and Jalen used to do this, but like run behind the big guys on the left. Jordan hasn't been in there, so that's hurt him a little bit, right? Fred doesn't have that kind of power. So you got one more game with Fred starting, possibly. Maybe Jordan has to miss another one after that. But once he comes back and you have your personnel there, I think the tush push has been shown the way they run it to be successful, and I don't see them going drastically away from it in those scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, listen, with Barkley, I still think you don't even need to overthink it because Barkley's going to pick it up. So I don't know. I
feel like also on like 3rd and 1 midfield, whatever it is, I just feel like you have an opportunity to actually get more yards there.
If you know second level, it's a big play. Yeah, you can take it to the house.
And if you know that 4th and 1, more than likely you're going to get it. We'll see. I don't know if the Jaguars showed other teams on film what you can do to stop it. I've looked at it. I mean, it seems like whoever was over
they got real low. One thing
they got real low.
They got real low.
That was Kelce's key. I mean, because he was just so freakish that he could get down low and just stick his head, and Jalen would just ride him a lot of times.
Did you? I guess the last thing. I guess you were a little surprised about Nick and some of the decisions. like, again, there's certain points of it. Like, it's funny. He wound up scoring a touchdown on the one, but I would have kicked the field goal to put him up 9, 2 scores. That I didn't get to taking the point off the board. Like, just, go with the extra point. I know that if they get it a yard, they're going to go for 2. But
yeah, look, I didn't think it was as egregious as some people thought. I looked at the process. The results weren't great, so he has to be evaluated upon that. They failed in all those circumstances. So I think that is part of the criticism. I mean, I get that. But if you look at each one individually, nothing, even in the moment, and then I went back and looked at each scenario, I was just like, I could see him doing that. This is something that he's always been aggressive in these scenarios on 2-point conversions. When you got the ball at the 1, they've always and overwhelmingly been successful with that play. So I understood all that. Honestly, I thought he shouldn't have kicked the 57. I thought you end the game right there.
I wouldn't have kicked the 57.
I wouldn't have either.
No,
So that was, I thought like he needed to be aggressive.
You're risking the field position, and it's another 10 yards back. I don't 7 yards back. I don't do that. I mean, look, I get it. There's been a lot of criticism on Nick. I don't think it's all been fair, to be perfectly frank with you. Yeah.
I don't think he's been awesome. There's concerns I have about temperament and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think credit has to be given where credit is due. And since the bye, this team is 4-0.
Yeah.
He's looked at the offense.
Yeah.
He's gotten it to evolve. He's looked at that on the defensive side. They've been much better tackling. This is something that I see them working on in practice that I don't think I've ever seen a team work on tackling this late into the season. They've worked on getting turnovers and not turning over the ball. I mean, look, there's still a lot left to play
agree. I think you're right.
Nick is fine. Nick's been good, fine. You know, he hasn't been great. But he hasn't been nearly as bad as everyone is saying.
No, it's a great point you bring up. The tackling piece of it. They're buttoned. They look way more buttoned up since the bye, just on both sides of the football. And
that's coaching. He's the head coach. He deserves credit. If you're going to get blamed for this stuff, it's like, oh, get Nick out of there. He's the head coach. He's going to be involved in every facet of the team. People have to understand that.
Yeah, it's a great point. My brother, what's up with your world? Because you have Dallas and then you got Washington. What's your podcast going to be next week?
We'll still drop something on Tuesday. I'll get in the studio on Monday. We'll have something on Tuesday. Still working on some things. Obviously, will be some reaction off the game, but it's a quick turnaround. So we'll be looking ahead to Washington too, because that's gonna be a huge game. Probably
that's gonna be a monster. It's gonna be great. Jeff, you're the best, buddy. We love you. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Here he is, Jeff McLane from the Inquirer. Great conversation.
He's a good football dude, and I like his delivery and stuff. I like Jeff.
Well, because he's completely down the middle.
He is.
He's complete. He'll be the first one to get on Sirianni. First question to ask, and on that situation, he's like, "No, man, look, dude. The tackling piece is right. He's at practice. He sees them working on tackling. That's a big deal."
Yeah.
That, and they have been so much better. Since the bye week, they've been better. The piece of all right, let's dial back Kellen Moore's offense a little bit to make it easier for Jalen, right? That's worked.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair. He's had how many offensive coordinators in the last 3 years? His head's spinning.
Well, by the way,
dial back a little bit for the first year.
You got Saquon. That's when it comes down. You got Saquon. I think they're using, and this is what I want from a coach, right? Whether it's an OC, DC, head coach, I want you to use the strength of your team.
Yes.
Use your players the way they need to be used. And over the last 4 games, I think they've done that.
Absolutely.
Just understand who you are, man. Feels like they finally do understand that.
And Jeff takes a lot of heat amongst the fans because he seems like the anti-Eagles guy because he asks the tough questions. But no, he's a good reporter, and I think he's right down the middle.
Ask those tough questions, guys.
All right. Let's go. It's a Friday, and my man's chock full of selections.
Ooh.
Let's go to the ambassador of the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app, the one, the only, Brain.
Brain. Red the Brain Finder.
Top of the morning to you, Brain.
Anthony, look, I got to ask you. I love Zach. You got to get me on the air with him because I got to wrestle with that.
All right, that was Jeff. That wasn't Zach.
Oh,
That
I'm
was
sorry,
Zach.
but yeah. Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize. I call.
We'll
I have
do a
to.
whole
I
show
have.
where I'll get Zach, I'll get Jeff together, and then you me, and the guys, we'll go through it, and we'll go through the philosophy.
Because he said something interesting, and again, he's obviously a smart guy, and I'm not pleased. All due respect, but he goes, you know, you got to grade him on the result, you know that, and that's what you have to look at, not the process. And I'm for me, it was the exact opposite. The process is what I question. I don't care about the result. The result's always going to be random to a certain degree. It's what were you thinking?
Well, right,
Why were you doing this?
You could dial up the play, but the players still have to execute the play. And risking the execution. This is what you're saying, which I agree with.
Exactly.
This is what
like
you're
the Barkley play against the Falcons.
It's like right. It's the same thing as like
Falcons.
Well, again, 99 out of 100 times Saquon's going to make the catch, but that's not the point. There's always the one time that it fails you, and there's no need to even do that. So it's unnecessary risk, is what you're talking about, and I agree with you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, I just had to say that.
I know it's a bug up your geeky. I agree.
You know me better than I know myself.
I agree, buddy. I listen. I'm with you. What a game last night! Wow, my God.
Best game of the year, right, Anthony? Best game of the year.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I'd have to say.
I gotta tell you,
the best 2 games of the year were these 2 teams.
I know they're amazing. I love that Lamar Jackson. He's so good. He's so good.
I got to give him a lot of credit, Anthony.
Oh God.
Well, I love Burrow, but he is, for a guy that's won multiple MVPs, he's got to give the guy credit. He's getting better. And it's funny.
Lamar's gotten better. Like I said, he was always a freak athlete. People talk about him being a phantom, right? And that's great. Got a ridiculous arm, but he's put it together and he's playing quarterback. Like he'll still give you the play. Remember the play where he drops back like 20 yards and he goes down the sidelines. He almost scores.
That was amazing.
I know.
Amazing. And Anthony, I got to tell you, I still think in the history of the NFL, I can remember one time, you tell me if you remember another one, where an owner goes, I don't want this player. Why would I want him? Arthur Blank of the Atlanta Falcons. Why would I want Lamar Jackson? We have no interest. We don't want him. Why would we go for Lamar Jackson? Oh, yeah, Arthur, it makes a lot of sense. Only time I've ever seen the owner do that.
That's why
you know why I think they did it, Anthony? It's because remember he was his own agent?
Yeah.
I think, this is my 2 cents, they were like, you know what?
Against him.
Let's stick it to him.
Yeah.
And he stuck it to them.
It's unbelievable that he didn't get offers. Like, you go, look at this dude. This dude's ridiculous. He's out of his mind.
That's the whole thing for me is,
how about
that was a chance for teams to get one of the best 3 players in the world for free, basically.
Yeah. You got a top 5 quarterback out there, and you don't go. They're falling all over themselves, signing backups, right? Like James Winston and Joe Flacco.
It's crazy, man. It really makes, again, that's what I always say, Anthony. It's what I love about playing sports so much is the best players like LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, etc. They get a chance to show on the field that they're elite and they're the best at what they do. But the people who run franchises, Anthony, we see mistakes 24/7 where
because it's not their business, right? Like it's not their business. They made their fortunes.
David Tepper
elsewhere, right? Hedge fund guys and all this stuff. They don't know sports as much as they think they know sports. You don't know it until unless you turn it over to here, Andy Reid, you're the head of my franchise. Run it. That's the bottom line.
I couldn't agree more. And that's, you saw Michael Jordan fail epically. You saw David Tepper, who's one of the best hedge fund managers in the world, fail epically, beyond epically. To me, it's what you just said. There's so much in life. People have egos, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is when you have an ego and you think you know more than you do, that's a dangerous thing, right?
It is. I'm with you. All right, let's take it through the weekend. Anything tonight? We'll go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So anything tonight?
I think, Anthony, and it's funny, let me bring it up right now. The UCLA line keeps creeping up. It's 6. It's funny. Like now, Iowa, I had Iowa last week, and they played really well. They switched quarterbacks, which to me was a long time coming, even though I like McNamara from Michigan, rooted for the guy. He's not good. And Sullivan played much better. But UCLA as a team, Anthony, I was very negative on before the year. And I got to give them credit. They've actually played really tough, really well. 5-1 ATS their last 6 against the spread. And the only one they didn't cover, they lost by a half point. They've played the toughest schedule in the country this year. Look, I think ever goes to 7, I definitely really am going to definitely bet UCLA, but I thought this line's it keeps being bet up. It's a little bit too high in my opinion, so I definitely lean towards the Bruins.
Nothing else on your radar tonight, Brain?
Well, in terms of what, college football?
Yeah,
what's that?
Locals and Aztecs, maybe.
Oh my God.
New Mexico, San Diego State. This line open. New Mexico getting 3. It's down to 1.5. This Devin.
Yeah, it's like these teams are
yards a game.
Too good, man.
These teams are about even.
They put up 45 points for their last 5 games. I think they're ready to roll.
Well, New Mexico offense is good. New Mexico's offense has been legitimately good. VG, that part of out of all the units in this game, I would say that's been the best unit. Has been New Mexico State's offense. But like, look, right now the line is looking right now on Bet River. Out of Parks, it looks like it's 1.5. I hear it. Look, the total is 65.5. Again, I do think both these teams will score. Again, I didn't bet the game, lean over if anything, because I actually do think New Mexico is a good offense.
Yeah, let's go Lobos.
Tomorrow, it's funny. I can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow's got great games, man. All day long tomorrow. My favorite game, and I want to go to Baton Rouge tomorrow night. Alabama, LSU, and I think both teams score. I think that's going to be an SEC, one of those shootouts.
Sure, 58.5 right now. Yeah, 58.5. Yeah, Anthony, listen, LSU, in my opinion, will probably struggle against a mobile quarterback like Milrose, in my opinion. Yep. So I do think, I do think. Look,
Alabama's got problems in the secondary.
Correct. And Milroe, he killed them last year. He had 155 yards rushing against them last year. Now, this is, in my opinion, this is probably like a winner, leave or go home kind of game where if you want to get in the playoffs, you got to win this game. Again, one of LSU's weaknesses, and this is why you said you like the over, has been the fact, Anthony, they have struggled. Not that every team doesn't struggle to a certain extent, but they have struggled against mobile quarterbacks. That being said, Anthony, I thought this line would come in closer to talking about the game line. I thought this line would come in closer to a pick. You can get 3 right now on the Park site. I think it's a little bit too high. I thought this was more of a 50-50 kind of game. And I always like to say to you, in 50-50 kind of games, I love taking 3 points because these games are inherently usually very, very tight, very close. I definitely lean LSU, and I hear what you're saying about the over-under because I think both teams should have success offensively.
How about Georgia? Ole Miss. Ole Miss has failed in this spot time and time again.
Time after time after time.
Is this going to be any different?
I'm going to say yes. And maybe this is like me falling for it, but I actually think they're going to win this game. Now you're getting around 2.5, you can actually get it up to 3. And I got to tell you, Anthony, like a guy that, and I mentioned to you the other night that I've been so disappointed in has been Carson Beck. Carson Beck's a guy who's becoming, in me, extremely. He's getting. People haven't reporting as much. He's been a turnover machine. He has not played well at all recently.
No.
I think Ole Miss wins this game. I know that they've been over a million, but a lot of those games have been on the road. This one they get at home. I think they win this game outright. I
it'll be wild. My only fear with Ole Miss again is, they flopped in this spot, and Georgia's bad.
Penn State, like.
Yeah, yes, very much so.
That's who they are.
And Georgia is so battle tested. Like they've played so much tougher opponents than Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's funny. Ole Miss, from a stat perspective, I think with some of the stat geeks who like the handicap things, they're like a darling because all their stats and their metrics are insane. But yeah, look, when they played like the tougher teams, they just haven't gotten it done. So it's like, I always say, like, show your work. I can't show my work on this one in the sense that they just keep failing in these spots, but I just watching Beck play, I just haven't been that impressed with Georgia. I thought Texas would get them. They outplayed them. That was their best game of the year. I just don't love what I'm seeing out of Georgia. I think Ole Miss gets this one.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us who else you like Saturday and who do you like on? And then we'll do Eagles.
Well, a game I bet Anthony North Texas against Army. Now,
That's a VG game.
VG's probably lighting up. He's like, I've been waiting for you to say a game like that. But actually, yeah. Well, the quarterback Daly, I don't think he's going to play.
No.
And actually, like, if he doesn't play, I think this line actually North Texas should be favored. I actually have North Texas favored in my numbers
because he's such a great player, and because he can throw it. So
yeah,
it's a shame.
And we'll see what happens there. That is probably like my favorite game of the week game. But I'm obviously monitoring his injury situation because if he does play, my bet. I still think I'm going to win it. But like to me, that was a big thing because I actually think they should flat out be favored, Anthony, if he's out.
All right. Anybody else? Anything you can run through it real quick?
I'm looking right here through my notes. Well, again, an interesting game, Anthony, is the Penn State game against Washington. How is Penn State going to bounce back after just?
That's devastating. That's devastating. Now you're it's a whiteout, but I don't know how. Man, it's hard to come back after that loss.
Yeah. I mean, look, Washington. Look, I still lean Washington here. Again, if the line's 13.5, I'm just waiting for it to go to 14, hopefully. But I think Washington. Penn State is look. They haven't been blowing teams out either. I think that's a lot of points to win by 2 touchdowns. And I just think emotionally the spot. I know Washington's flying across country, which is hard. It's this 4th cross-country game Washington's had. Again, switching conferences, people don't talk about this. This is one of the things by leaving the Pac-10, right? They're having to travel like crazy, Anthony, which is obviously a much harder thing. Maybe for young people, it's not as much as for people like you and me that's maybe get more tired, but that is a factor as well. But Washington's team, I feel like they're better than their record when I watch them.
All right, Eagles Dallas. We got like a minute. Eagles Dallas.
Yep. Yeah, well, the thing I like the most, but it's already steamed up, but I like the over in the game quite a bit, but it went from 41 to 43.5. Right now, the line is actually Anthony, the line on Parks is 7.5. Now that it's at 7.5 again, I hate to say it, Anthony, I actually lean Dallas. I thought the line should have been 7. I made it 7. Made it a stone cold 7. 6.5. I said I lean Philly. But I made it a stone cold 7.
Read the room, Brain. Read the room. Come on.
I'm rooting for the Eagles. I didn't bet it. Rooting for the Eagles. I did like the over. I think the Eagles should score on this Dallas defense for sure.
How about your best plays? Give me a couple best plays.
Washington. I think Washington, Anthony. I know you think maybe I'm a little low in Pittsburgh, and I could be, and I love the coach. But I think Washington's just a better team. I really do.
Listen,
they're laying 2.5 at home.
I see where you're coming from. I do.
Yeah, I think that's a game where they're just going to. I think they're going to get there. And then on skipping nights, but on Monday night, I don't get the Rams line against Miami. I don't get it.
I told you I like the Rams in that game. Yeah,
I think the Rams should be maybe even a 3-point favorite. And so I think it's laying 1.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that line is as low as it is. And look, we talk about teasers all the time. I like teasing on you just right on Parks. I like cheesing the Chargers down to 1.5. And I like cheesing the Chiefs down to 1.5. I think that's a really good teaser where I think you have 2 teams that really should win the game that you basically get them down to a pick.
There you go. Brain, good luck this weekend. Have a great one, brother.
Got some basketball props. Hopefully they could post them on your show.
Okay, yeah. You got
some good. Yeah, I got a few good
real
few
quick,
NBA.
Run through for the people.
Okay, Miles Turner under 9.5 rebounds. He averages 7. 9.5 is too high. Benedict Mathurin under 6.5 rebounds. 52 and 8 last year. He averages around 4. Terry Rozier over 13.5 points. 49 and 12 last year. That's too low. And the Sixers game, these aren't posted yet, but I have a good sense what they're going to be. We took Paul George over 4.5 rebounds last game. We're going to do it again. and we're going to take Austin Reeves over 4.5 assists, taking a nice price. He does that over half the time. You want to give me odds, I'm going to do it.
There he is. Prop King. He's the man. Thanks, Brain. Appreciate it, buddy.
Appreciate
There he is, the Prop King himself. Hey, all the stuff that we talk about on the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app. Let's talk about it. That's right. Brain tells you, it gives you all these games, all these props, right? You can find all that stuff. And you can hit the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app all during the week. So if you look at the over on the Monday and you look at this, the line's out Monday, Tuesday, you look at it and you go, you know what? This is too low. Jump in early. That's what the Brain does. That's one of his pro tips is jump in early. And the Bet Parks Sportsbook online app is always open. That's right. It's always there for you. So check it out. And by the way, all the casino games, so you can make your downtime fun time. Always another way to win on the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. They have live blackjack dealers. You got all the hot slots. In fact, they were showing me the other day the Peaky Blinders slots. So you get Tommy Shelby. That's like you get Tommy Shelby. It's a big win. And then they have the new Breaking Bad slots that are coming out. So you can check that out. And if you're a new customer, you're down in the first 24 hours, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back. So check it out. BetParks.com has all the details. You got to be 21. You got to be in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, we all know Rite Aid's got everything you need, like Gatorade and snacks and candy. They also have vaccines. Protect yourself and your family by staying up to date on your immunizations. And Rite Aid pharmacists are specially trained, certified immunizers. Most vaccines are no cost with insurance or through government plans like Medicare B. And so they got pharmacists who can vaccinate you for shingles, pneumonia, tetanus, whooping cough, chickenpox, that COVID, RSV. It's RSV season. And that stuff is highly contagious, seasonal virus that affects the respiratory tract. You want to try and protect yourself from that. COVID's still flying around out there. It can't hurt. They get updated with that. And, we talk about how painful shingles is. And if you had chickenpox, you're at risk of shingles. It's a painful rash all over your body. And 1 in every 3 people in the U.S. will have shingles at some point in their lifetime. So you want to check out a vaccine for that, maybe. Select Rite Aid stores have dedicated pharmacists ready to administer vaccines and answer all your questions like, what immunizations do you need? Are you up to date? If you're nervous, you can always ask them to walk you through it. The Rite Aid pharmacist will take the time to make the good personalized recommendations based on your history and discuss any concerns they have. No questions are too small. Just walk in or schedule an appointment Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. State, age, and health restrictions may apply. Ask a Rite Aid pharmacist for more details.
All right. One of my favorite parts of the show, every Friday, we go around the league, around the NFL. This portion of the show brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMark.com/PHLY to find the credit union difference. It's real. Let's go to my man from the NFL Network. He's an extraordinaire. Local. It can't be more prouder than on this man. Mike Garafolo joins us. Mikey G, good morning.
Happy Friday. Happy Football Friday.
My man. That was a great game last night. We were talking about it.
Great game.
Lamar's ridiculous because not only we always talk about his raw skills, but man, he's become so good. He's a real quarterback. He plays the position so well, and he still has those extraordinary skills to break out when he needs to, like on that run.
Yeah, I think Monken's done a nice job with him. Am I really loud, or is that just me? Hold on.
No, you look good.
It might sound okay. Just let me know. And Monken's done a great job with him. That was a great hire by the Ravens. An absolutely great hire. And they had a couple teams that were after Monken that year, coming back from Georgia. And the Ravens landed the plane. He's been great for him. The way that he calls things, the way that he coached him up. He's made him a complete quarterback. Greg Roman did what he needed to do. I mean, he did the same thing with Kaepernick, but he did what he needed to do in his mind to make Lamar successful. But it limited him from being what you're saying, a complete quarterback, and you need to be one to win in the postseason. That's why you got to give this team a much better shot this year than we have in the past, for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. How about as we're talking about it? I mean, last night, Jamar Chase is just utterly ridiculous. I mean, on the touchdown run, it's like he just hit that next gear and flew by. It was unbelievable, man. He's such a weapon.
Yeah, the one play where he got Marcus Williams lost, kind of spun around, and I think it had a little bit to do with Williams, but it had a little bit to do with Chase as well. And that's why beginning of the season, training camp, I should say, when we were talking about his contract, I kept saying, if you really want to hit him over the head, play another year. Get to the point where there's 1 year left on your deal. Then you got more leverage on your side, plus another year of production. I mean, that's what Justin Jefferson did. I understand when you're first eligible for a contract extension after year number 3, you want the money as soon as possible. But now you see what he's doing. He's going to reset the wide receiver market once this deal gets done at some point in the offseason.
Yeah, it's a great point. Let's go to Dallas. What do you, the mess that is Dallas?
Yeah.
Pick through the rubble. What are you saying? And what are they going to be like on Sunday with Cooper Rush?
He won. It was 2 years ago when he won 3 of the 4 starts or whatever it was that he had.
Won 4 in a row. He came here and threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, and but they the way that they did it, they had to play with good defense and make sure that you didn't ask too much of him. They're not playing that kind of defense this year, which is disappointing if you're Dallas, because you bring in Mike Zimmer and you think we got ourselves a legendary defensive coordinator. Now, listen, the injuries have certainly hurt, and Parsons working his way back is certainly a great sign. But just right now, they just have no juice. They've had no juice all year, really. And I think we may have seen the last of Dak Prescott in 2024. So I honestly, like, at this point, I need to see Trey Lance if I'm the Cowboys. I understand why you're starting Cooper Rush right now, because you're still in that information gathering mode with Dak and you don't know how it's going to end up. But at some point, you gave up a 4th round pick, just like you gave up another 4th round pick this week and got torched for it. I got to see this guy in the field. And my understanding is it's not like they're looking at him like, whoa, wow, he's really come along. Like, he's still a work in progress. I mean, how much longer is it going to be? He's just not, he wasn't asked to, in college, throw things the way that you need to throw them in the NFL. And schematically, he was limited coming in, and it just hasn't gotten much. And it's not going to get any better with him not playing either. So we got to see.
So are they prime? Like when you look at it Sunday, you feel good. You're Eagles. You're a substantial favorite. You don't feel, you have no fear, right?
I don't look at him as a dangerous opponent, especially with Ceedee Lamb banged up. He's going to play, but he's banged up. And the whole Zeke thing was weird with him. And he's just not being a professional all year long. And they gave him a little bit of leeway. I don't know what's going on in his personal life, but they gave him a little bit of leeway and finally decided they had to crack down on him there. McCarthy doesn't have another year in his contract, which every team, I know it's the cost of doing business, but you always usually have at least one more year on the deal just so your team doesn't look at a guy as a lame duck. And now this stuff's going to start to spiral a little bit down the stretch here. I just don't see how they all of a sudden pivot and come out and win this game. Weirder things have happened, but I mean, I wouldn't look at them as a cornered beast ready to come out scrapping.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is going to interesting 5 days for the Birds, because you got, Dallas on the road and you come home and it's the showdown for the NFC East. Washington gets Lattimore, which I thought was a good move by them. Where are they at? They got Pittsburgh on Sunday.
Yeah, and this is 2 teams playing above the rim with regard to our expectations coming into the season. We were talking about this on Good Morning Football the other day, and what do you what would it mean when, I forget how they phrased it, but who do you need to see more from or something like that? And to me, I mean, listen, even though Pittsburgh is a surprise, they've done it consistently over the course of 2 decades now with Mike Tomlin, and they're playing great defense. This is now a game of, and I don't want to pick apart a schedule when a team is playing like this, but Washington needs a litmus test win. We went up against a perennially successful coach with a great defense, and we came out with the win, regardless of whether it's home or away. And they have those burgundy towels they're giving out, by the way, and that there's going to be a ton of Steelers fans. I'm not sure I would necessarily poke the bear when it comes to one of the better traveling teams. The 2 teams from Pennsylvania are the 2 best traveling fan bases in the. You definitely don't want to poke the Eagles fan base. We know that. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a team that's, because a lot of times, Ant, I've said this with the Eagles many years recently. You almost play yourself into your record. You get winnable schedules early or winnable games early in your schedule. You win them, it starts to build confidence, and you're like, maybe we are a 7-2 team. Like maybe that's who we are. And I think that's kind of happening with both of these teams, really. But I mean, I'm so in on Pittsburgh. To me, I don't want to come out the wrong. They've been such not a boring team, but like that's not the team where Sunday Night Football and you go, oh boy, I can't wait to watch the Steelers. That's me this like for some reason I'm all in on this team this year, and I
agree. I love watching them. First of all, Russ gives them a little bit different dynamic in the sense that it helps the run game, right? So the fact that it'll stretch the field and go down the field, not afraid to throw, his floaters, helps Najee, right? It helps Warren. They look way better running the football with Russ at quarterback.
And I just love, Tomlin going into a meeting, knowing that even the people in the meeting disagree with him, making the move to Russ, and then that coach, and then that coaching staff. Hang on a second.
God bless.
You don't want to hear that one. The coaching staff saying, "Well, now we got to get this guy. We've gotten the best out of Justin Fields. Now let's get the best out of Russ 3.0, I guess it is right now." So Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator, Danny Smith, the longtime special teams coordinator, Arthur Smith, who didn't have the greatest run as a head coach, but has been a really good offensive coordinator. I know a guy, Mike Sullivan, who was calling the plays for them last year, remained on that staff as an offensive coach. And it's just a really good coaching staff. And the way that they're getting these guys in position to play, to me, they've been fun this year.
Yeah,
we talked about it in the offseason as training camp. This second half of the schedule, though, for them is Commanders, Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
Yep.
They're lucky. They
haven't played a divisional game
against the Browns. Well, they'll probably be dogs in most of those games.
The Bears and the Steelers, I believe, neither one has played a divisional game right now, and they're both in different. I mean, the Bears were a couple weeks ago looking like they were playing themselves into something. Now that thing's gone the other way, but the Steelers now, this is the tough point. But Mike Tomlin ain't afraid of no piece of paper.
No.
Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. I'll stretch.
Yeah, it's a difficult stretch. Yeah. How do you see the Niners, right? Because you're going to get McCaffrey back, right? Or how dangerous is San Francisco? And I would kind of talking about San Francisco and the Rams, because I don't know, I got one eye on the Rams. Rams kind of worry me a little bit. When they're healthy and they protect Stafford, that offense could motor.
Yeah, and the defense is the key to me because they've got a lot of young guys, and now the two draft picks. Verse and
Jared Verse is terrific, man.
Come on, the defensive tackle.
Yeah,
oh my God, blanket.
I know.
This cold is in my head right now. I think it's seasonal allergies. I don't know what it is, but those guys are playing. Fisk.
Yes.
Took a second. It was in there somewhere. Braden Fisk. You know what I love about Braden Fisk? No gloves. Right? He's like the Trey Hendrickson's the same way. I like seeing those guys out there with no gloves. So these guys are only going to get better. And they're only going to get more. And they knew we're flipping over a lot. Aaron Donald retiring, but we're flipping over a lot on defense. And we've got a first-time defensive coordinator. So you're starting here. And the good thing is if you can survive here, this is coming. So that's kind of the way that I feel about the Rams right now. The Niners, the Niners are going to be, it seems like, the win the division, they'll have a home playoff game at least. But that's the team that we have talked about in the past. They were the 1 seed last year, but we've talked about them in the past being able to go on the road in a style of football that travels. And we haven't really seen it fully, but we've seen Jordan Mason be physical. We know what, and we know what George Kittle can do. We know what that offensive line can do. So that's a running game.
The other back too. Garendo runs hard.
Yeah.
I went to college.
Yeah, he was really good. Nick Bosa hasn't shown up yet this year. Fully. Matter of fact, so it's so funny to see I'm gonna walk that line of politics here, but it's so funny to see a hardcore right wing guy come out wear a MAGA hat, but he's not performing well enough this year in a liberal state, and you see in the comments, and he's getting crushed. Oh, it's unbelievable! I'm just watching the comments in on X and on Instagram and all that stuff. And that, that fan base for the most part leans left, and they're giving it to him. They really are giving it to him.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
How about so if I ask you to rank the NFC, obviously the Lions are at the top of it. I'm curious, like how you look at, and this is a legitimate Super Bowl threat, right? So I'm curious where you put the Eagles, and I want you to put it in order. So if you put you would put the Lions up top at 1. Who's 2?
Well, I keep going back because I'm like, wait, Eagles have won like 4. They haven't lost since the bye week, right? I keep going back to it, and I understand
that's right.
I understand. I'm doing the same thing with Washington, right? Like I understand all 4 of those teams are probably not making the playoffs, and now maybe 5. They beat the Cowboys. Maybe 5 teams that aren't making the playoffs. So that makes it a little tough, right? That makes it a little tough. But there were 2 road games in there, and there were 2 convincing wins. It's what you need to do in those situations. So, to rank them.
Who's 2? Is Green Bay 2?
No, I mean, they beat
Minnesota
Green Bay.
2?
I know it was a while ago. Minnesota, no. Dude, Minnesota might fall off. Watch it.
Listen, I agree. I'm just throwing teams at you.
No, I know. Right now, I mean, maybe we're playing for number 2 on Thursday. Maybe we are.
I like
maybe next Friday we have a conversation and we say the winner of the battle for number 2 in the NFC.
I like that.
I like what's that?
I like that. No, listen, because you're right. There's flaws. Like I like Green Bay a lot. But there's something, a tick off that says I don't fear them.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Maybe you could figure that out.
Well, listen, they traded away Preston. I don't know about this Preston Smith move. They traded him away because you watch Preston Smith now with the Steelers. Yeah. He's going to make some plays. He's going to make some plays. And they got 4 legit pass rushers now, by the way, which is not too many. You say, well, you only need 2. No, you can play 3, 4 at a time. Spags has done it with the Giants in the past.
NASCAR.
So, NASCAR package. So who are we talking about? Green Bay. Oh, so yeah, they're putting a lot of chips in the Lucas Van Ness pile. They want to get him to get more playing time. They're a good defense. I don't think they're a great defense. So maybe that's what's off here. And the Eagles, Vic's got to get them humming down the stretch. You got to have that defense going into the postseason. You got to have that defense that is clicking and looks like they're confident on all 3 levels. They look like they're getting there. But again, I still need that. I need that litmus test. I hate doing that, but I need it.
One thing. If the Eagles had one more pass rush, somebody off the edge, they're just one edge player. It could be in-house. I don't know. But they're one edge player from being a really good defense because Mitchell and DeJean are the truth. Like those kids are legit, man. I love that secondary. I love those 2 kids.
Do you think almost Brandon Graham almost treated the first half of the year? I mean, he's made some plays. He's made the one game. What game was it that I covered? And he was the one guy who was actually just making some. I forget.
Was it the Giants game?
Stuff's running together.
Yeah.
It was in Philly. They haven't played the Giants in Philly yet, right?
No.
No.
Giants in Philly.
It was maybe in the Atlanta game early in the season. They needed somebody to make a play from a pass rushing standpoint. And he did something like there he is.
Guy. Because here's the thing: Jalen Carter is a beast, right? He's getting doubled and tripled constantly. And you need someone. Last week was Sweat. Sweat looked good last week. You need someone off the edge to take advantage of that kid who's tying up everybody in the middle.
Yeah, but I think if you're BG, you tread water for half a year, and then you know what time it is when you come down the stretch, and it's not going to be all game long. It's just going to be in spots when you need it, right? So maybe that's the guy.
Who won the trade deadline for you?
Pittsburgh.
And include all of it. Include the weeks before that.
Well, I mean, Kansas City, obviously, with DeAndre, because he's not all the way there. It's kind of scary to think what's going to happen when he's all the way there. There were a couple plays on Monday night.
One play Monday night. There's 3 guys around them.
You know what's so funny? So sometimes I'll watch, and this happens a lot with hockey, which I can bring up because they won last night. This happens a lot with hockey. Sometimes you watch a guy with the puck, and the route that he takes, or some kind of stick move, and it's like, how did that work? How did he like? It didn't look, and the defenseman gets spun like a top or whatever, and you go, he's just existing on a higher plane than everybody else. And I think that's what happened on both ends of that throw on Monday. It was like Mahomes throws that up, and you're like, how did that not get picked? And then how does Hopkins in the right spot with those guys around him to make the, because they're both existing on a different, like that's what great players do. And you saw that happen. Now, again, at the end of the game, at the end of regulation, excuse me, he's coming off the line and Mahomes is, and he doesn't turn back, right? And after the play, Mahomes is to the sideline to Nagy, same play. He's going like this, same play. And they call the same play. And Hopkins doesn't look, again, he had to have told him in the huddle, like, hey, I'm coming to you right off the line if I get, whatever. So he's looking for him to go hot, and he doesn't turn around again. And I'm like, imagine when they get these little things. Yeah. So obviously that's going to be a huge one. They needed they feel like he hasn't had a consistent red zone, big body type guy. And plus they're only going to get more healthy too. Who is the team? But I do like Pittsburgh. I mentioned Smith, Mike Williams being the one-on-one ball guy throughout his entire career. And now you got a quarterback that you see the thing about the moon ball. I talked to Van Jefferson about this. He said, we're looking back. Defender's got his back to the play. So coming in at a higher arc gives us a better chance to make a play on that ball. We're seeing it that way. Plus it's coming in at an odd angle for them, but a great angle for us. So now you got moon balls plus a guy that wins one-on-one. He's going to contribute for them down the stretch. No doubt.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I mean,
you look runnerish.
Oh, I mean, I'm runnerish all day. Mike seems like a sympathizer with me. He mentioned the Fly Boys. Like, what's he feeling about towards
I was going to bring up Meats
healthy scratch in the offensive rookie of the month?
I mean, part of me likes it, but it's a smaller part. It's a minority. Like, sometimes you got to give you, and he's not on the star level yet, but he's headed there. Sometimes you got to give him a little bit. Like, I don't know. The old adage of the European athlete, right? Is he gonna be able to take the tough love? We'll see. Maybe he will. Maybe it's he's got to do that to adjust the. I just who's gonna be here longer when you start to think that way, and then the head coach makes a move like that, and you're like, leave my guy. Like that's my guy. It's not your guy. It's not going to be your guy for a little bit longer. That's my guy. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
So here's what I was told. Nothing big. Teaching moment.
Yeah, there's other ways to teach.
Yeah.
But again, if
you don't have to teach that way all the time.
If the whole organization, if he's good with it, like teach
he's Bo Diddley.
Hey, listen,
he's
I just want you to watch a game. Watch it from the press box.
Back in the Catholic high schools, they used to bring paddles out for teaching moments. Like they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
We've evolved a little bit here.
Not Bo Diddley. BB King. BB King used to play one note. Bing. That's Torts. He knows one note.
Yes.
That's fabulous.
Yes.
Well, I mean, my guess would be that the entire organization is behind it because they know the importance of Meatskoff. They're not going to screw around with his mental state. If they think it's a teaching moment, then I'm on board with it.
I want something to watch too. I mean, I know they won and Tip is on fire.
No, I don't.
Tip is playing.
It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. I don't care that you didn't. My guy wasn't out there last night. I mean, I had to watch football anyway. It's not that. Right. Are you causing more damage inside the entire locker room than are you helping? That's what it comes down to.
Dude, you're a great hockey man. You should do a hockey podcast.
Yeah, I got time for that.
Dude,
if I didn't have kids, then I would.
Dude, I hear you. Believe me, I was at practice 2.5 hours last night. We got a game Saturday, tomorrow, and then basketball starts. I have a tryouts. I have to, and I'm the head coach for basketball, so I got to do that, right? So we got, I love it. So whatever. I'm with you, brother. I love you. Kiss the girls for me.
You got it, man. You got it. Appreciate it.
Where you at, by the way?
I will see you. What's that?
What are you doing this weekend?
I'll be in Philly. We're coming down tonight. My parents' 50th anniversary. 50.
Nice.
So we're taking them out to dinner. Mike and Carol, congratulations.
Dude, you got to give mom and dad a hug for me, man.
You got it. I will do that.
Where you guys going? Party or what?
They don't know. I can't tell you. It's a surprise.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we're gonna. My sister's gonna blindfold them. Like she's kidnapping them. It's great. Put a bag over their head.
If VG knows this, Mike's sister is married to my cousin.
No, I had no idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're always all family, incestuous thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a problem with that?
He's got no problem with that.
No, he's got no problem. No, but I will be in Philly on Thursday for NFL Network all day long.
That's fabulous. That's great.
Yeah, so catch us on we got the Insiders. It's a YouTube show that day, but we'll be on game day kickoff at I don't know if anybody's coming with me. I think it just might be me solo.
Yeah, what's he doing between 9 and 11?
Awesome. Well, listen, we love you.
9 and 11 a.m.?
Yeah, come on in. Hang out with us.
Oh, come in. Yeah. Oh, no, I won't be down there that early. I'm driving day of.
He's if you want to drive early and you want to go lunch, I'll treat you to an Angelo's if you want.
How's the food down there? Good? Yeah, they got good food. How about
you've been going a long time? Well,
time out.
I don't know. So, you're now doing a Hoboken kid.
It's not the same. Like they think they don't even call them hoagies, but I don't even know what they call them. Sometimes you hear sandwich, sometimes hero, very rarely hoagie. But Rappaport the other day tweets out because I was in Pittsburgh and I got a Primanti Brothers. I went there because it was right by the hotel. Horrible, dude.
White bread.
White bread. White bread
and coleslaw and French fries. Get the hell out of here with Primanti.
So I didn't even finish it. So I said to Ian, I go, I was like, who? He goes, oh, I love Primanti Brothers. It's so good. Blah, blah, whatever, right? And then he tweets out the other day because Mike Williams was drafted by the Jets, and the fans brought a breakfast sandwich to the not drafted, signed by the Jets. And they brought a breakfast sandwich to the facility that day to try to coax him, which they do have great breakfast sandwiches up here in North Jersey on a bagel. It's like phenomenal. That's what they do extremely well. And then Ian says something about, well, now he's going to Pittsburgh where there's great, and I destroyed him.
Good.
No. He said the best sandwiches. Are you out of your mind? The best sandwiches? Out of your mind.
Bread. They don't have bread. They can't make bread in cold country. What kind of
absolutely,
bread are they doing there?
Absolutely lit him up. And he thinks he's like the culinary king because he, barbecue and smokes a bunch of stuff. Dude, I'm like, you are an absolute moron. Like, I thought you knew what you were talking. You have no idea. I love Primanti Brothers. I said, well, you're an idiot.
Yeah, he's hard. He don't know anything. Again, teach him how to eat. We've been teaching the world how to eat for 2,000 years. All right.
Sometimes they listen. Sometimes they don't.
I know, brother. Love you, pal. Best to your mom and dad. Mwah.
You got it. Thank you.
The great Mike Garafolo joining us every Friday. We love him. He's fantastic. Coming up, we're going to be talking to our Rothman doc. I love it. Dr. William Emper.
Nice.
And Dr. Emper is, we're going to talk a little bit about shoulders. All right. I like listen, I love this stuff. I look forward to it each week, learning about all this sort of thing. All right. Let me tell you about Parks Casino. Oh, yes. This is warm the vocal cords up. All right. Because we're going to talk about Parks Casino. Let me call it up right here. Are you ready, Andrew?
Me.
Yeah. This is also one of my favorite things is having you guys do your sing. All right, here we go. I tell you about it all the time, by the way. You know that. Parks Casino, Street Road, Ben Salem, Pennsylvania's #1 casino, mecca of entertainment. So beyond just all the slots and the table games and the great sports book and poker room, you got the Excite Center, 1,500-seat venue that is great because it's so intimate to see the best comedians and musical acts. I mean, it's fantastic. Right off the Street Road, Ben Salem, 95 and the Turnpike right there. Tickets on sale now. January 24th, Richard Kind from Curb Your Enthusiasm. And then February 8th, Jerry Cantrell, Alice in Chains.
I'm a man in a box.
March 8th, magician Michael Carbonaro.
Love Mikey.
Everybody loves that show, man. Everybody loves the show. March 21st, comedian Ron White, who's fantastic. Country star Lee Bryce on March 22nd.
Lee Bryce, you say? There's a rumor going around about you and me, stirring up a little town the last week or two.
Next weekend, November 14th, Ezra Ray Hart, the lead singers from Sugar Ray, Better Than Ezra, and Tonic joined together for an incredible night.
If you could only see the way she loves me, maybe you'd understand.
November 16th, Bret Michaels.
Ooh. Though I tried not to hurt you, though I tried, but I guess that's why they say every rose has its thorn.
All right, December 14th, comedian Eric D'Alessandro joined dinner and drinks. Liberty Bell Gastro Pub, Parks Grill Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House, ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. Got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Love it, cuz. You know what else I love? Listen, I want to beat down Dallas, but more than ever, I want to make sure I get some new flooring and the right flooring. And we're going to do that with our friends over at Empire today. Absolutely, VG. And look, what we love about Empire today is they're going to give us they're going to give us a shopping experience with in-home convenience. They're going to give you the right product as well, and that quick and professional installation and a price match guarantee. And with this economy, that's what we like to see, right? And Empire today is the best place to get that new flooring. So look, obviously they're going to have competitors. They're going to have those competitors try to say, listen, we're going to give you the best price. We're going to give you a price that you can't beat. But the thing is that they're only going to put something with low quality. And Empire today, they're great people. They're not going to do that. They're only going to put quality inside your home because, listen, flooring is important. It's where you walk on. So you want something that's good. It's going to last a long, long time. So what are you waiting for? Schedule that free in-home estimate today. All of our listeners right now can receive up to a $350 off discount. $350, ladies and gentlemen. That's a pretty penny. You got to visit empiretoday.com/PHLY and use that promo code PHLY as well once you hit that checkout page. Keep in mind that restrictions do apply. Do not wait any longer, ladies and gentlemen. Let's fix those floors with our friends at Empire
today. You also got a bunch of events coming up.
That's right, cuz.
We got all kinds of PHLY events happening.
It's a great weekend, guys. Listen, it's Dallas weekend, right? But of course, we have watch parties here at PHLY.
All right, do me a favor. We're going to talk all about the watch parties because we have a big weekend. But I got Dr. Emper on the line. Rothman Orthopedics. We love Rothman. Back out of whack, right? They got a doctor for every body part.
Neck.
Yes. I mean, you name it. All right. Now let's go to Dr. Emper, who is shoulder. Doc, do me a favor. Scooch over just a little bit so we see your handsome face. There you go, Doc.
Okay.
What do you say, pal?
How are you doing, Anthony? Nice to see you.
Great to see you. I'm fascinated. I love talking to you guys each week. The brilliance of really, we talk about athleticism and we talk about from professional athletes to weekend warriors like us who just want to get out there and are dealing with all kinds of aches, pains, knees, shoulders like you. And you keep us moving. And for that, eternally grateful. Let's talk about the shoulder, right? And let's talk about from a quarterback standpoint and some of the injuries that you could suffer shoulder from the quarterback spot.
So I do see a lot of label tears because I take care of Villanova and I have the opportunity to take care of a football team where you see the players from anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 years nowadays. So you can see the progression of injuries. And I see a lot of label tears. Contact sports have a high incidence of label tears. It can either be driven into the turf or, just being slammed to the ground, or it can be your arm can be pulled back. If you're in a throwing position, it's your throwing arm. You get pulled back like that. If you're a D lineman and you're stretched out going to make a tackle, or if you're an offensive lineman and you kind of get your hands outside of your body and you get pushed back, you can dislocate your shoulder or partially dislocate your shoulder, which is called a subluxation, and that can cause a tear of the labrum.
Let me I'm thankful that we're talking to you today about this. So, in fact, last night, my little one's a quarterback. He's 11, comes off the field, and he's like, Daddy, my shoulder hurts. And I said, where's it hurt? And he said, just below the shoulder, right? And we talked about warming up just from the throwing standpoint. Because they had him throwing, he was throwing deep. I'm like, dude, you got to throw before, you got to warm your arm, especially for football, before you're trying to throw 40-yard passes. What's the appropriate to take care of the shoulder? What's the best way to do that?
So, I mean, it's a combination of strengthening and flexibility, like we've learned forever, when we were growing up. Work on your flexibility because especially if you're a throwing athlete, either a quarterback or particularly a pitcher, you tend to lose a little bit of internal rotation, which predisposes you to injury. So you got to do these particular stretches that therapists and trainers work with the kids with, particularly pitchers, a sleeper stretch they call it. And that's important to prevent the labral injury. Same thing with a strengthening program.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talk about that sort of thing, about preventative and how much, and you guys fix it, but preventative comes into play so much when we're talking about, shoulders and elbows, especially from a pitching standpoint.
Yeah, if you're a throwing athlete and you're a pitcher or you're a quarterback, there's a chance you're going to have some shoulder discomfort from time to time. Hopefully it's just a sprain, but labral tears occur in the shoulder. It's a joint where all of the stability of the joint is because of the ligaments. It's not like a ball and socket joint like the hip. So you got to strengthen your shoulder to help maintain those ligaments so they don't tear. If you tear your labrum, and that can happen, like I said, with a dislocation.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, if you're a young kid playing sports, then you're probably going to have a labral tear and have trouble throwing. So
how long, typically, if you look at the different shoulder injuries, how long are we talking about? If you're talking about a labrum tear, what's the timetable for something like that?
So it depends on the extent of the tear. If you have a non-displaced small tear, it can scar down and heal up on its own, but it's going to take months. It's not going to scar down in a couple weeks. And that's the more common thing is if you have a labral tear from a dislocation and you have an unstable shoulder, it's not going to heal well and it's going to keep tearing. So we're much more aggressive with repairing labral tears nowadays, especially in contact athletes or throwing athletes, in order to restore them to that level that they want to be able to play.
How come pitchers, when you talk about coming back from major surgery, that sort of thing, they'll actually get velo, or is it psychosomatic where they think they're getting velocity increase, or is it just because they're healed, then that's what happens, that organically they'll have the extension to give you the higher velocity?
I think if you work on your flexibility, like I said, for to make sure you don't lose your internal rotation, and if you had a shoulder, you have a young athlete that was a little loose and it's tightened up, they can generate more like kinetic energy. It's just like with the elbow, with the Tommy John procedure, you get a more stable elbow, you're going to be able to generate more velocity. So I don't think it's psychosomatic. I think it can be real.
That's Doc, it's fascinating. Have you become a fan? I know you're from Harvard, right? You went to Harvard.
Yes.
Yes.
Did
you grow up in that area? Did you grow up in Boston?
I grew up in Wallingford, Delaware County.
I love it. I heard your accent. I go, man, you know what? I don't think he's from up there. I'm just curious. You have a great Delaware County accent, man. I love it. God bless you, man.
When I first went up there, thank you. When I first went up there and I met one of my friends from the football team, he was from South Boston with the accent. I couldn't even understand him. Did not understand what wicked and all that stuff meant. And I finally, came to understand my Boston friends. But yeah, I went up there, played defensive back for 4 years and went to med school there and then came back to this area and been fortunate enough to work at Villanova. But yeah, I grew up in Delaware County. I went to Nether Province, played 3 sports just like we all did back in the day then.
I'm so proud of you. I love people from our area that are accomplished, that do big things, and God bless you, man. And I love the fact that you came home and wanted to make our region your area. It's one of the reasons why I'm so bullish on Rothman Orthopedics and what you guys do there. So thanks. And brother, you're a testimony, Doc, to our area. God bless you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Anthony. Thank you.
Go Birds. You don't like Dallas, right?
Yeah, I grew up taking my kids to the 600 level at the vet, teaching them how to share the concourse level with the 700 level and not get in trouble.
Oh,
That was like a three.
That's
That was like,
awesome.
give us a
that was like a 3-year.
Give us a Dallas Sucks, Doc.
Yeah, that was like a 3-year PhD program. So you know.
I love it. Dallas sucks. I love it.
Yeah.
That's the best,
That's my
buddy.
favorite game. That was my favorite game, a Monday night game. The Reggie White, sack Troy Aikman 8 times. Love that. Love that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Oh, this is the best. You're terrific, Doc. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
What a pleasure. Dr. William Emper. What a great guy. Rothman Ortho.com/PHLY. Just great stuff, man. Really. I love that. I'm so excited too, because I tell you, like, I love a guy. Here's a guy from Delaware County who goes to Harvard, right?
Crazy.
Plays football and, doing big things. I love to highlight people from the Delaware Valley who've made great accomplishments.
Absolutely.
Who are
Overrepresenting.
doing big things. I love this. So there's a new show on Fox, animated show about the Hoagie brothers, right?
Yeah.
And it's really cool, like, because I'm listening to the accents, I'm going, this is so amazing. And speaking of people from our area who are doing big things, there are 2 brothers. The Malamut brothers are amazing, Adam and Craig, and we got them on the line. Let's get the guys up here, Adam and Craig Malamut. Guys,
the cuz. Let me get him in
Universal
the box
Basic
here.
guys.
Yeah, there he is.
Going on, man.
Yeah, we're here to talk shoulders with you, okay? So what you want to do is your kid, okay, with no warm-up, okay, you get him in there throwing 100-yard bombs, try to get it through the uprights. That's what I do, and that's how I keep my shoulder nice and good for the drawing.
I think it's an episode.
Yeah, Mark becomes an orthopedic surgeon. I like that.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. First of all, guys, congratulations on the show. It's fantastic. I mean, you guys are so talented. I want to tell everybody that you guys also did Game of Zones, which was awesome, right?
Yeah, that was killer.
Like fabulous. You guys are so incredibly talented. So thank you, man. This is great stuff. What's the journey been like? I'll start with you, Adam.
Yeah, so we're from Cherry Hill. Grew up listening to all you guys. I gotta say, actually, there's a little bit of cousin Mark Hoagie's, okay? And I'll tell you what it is real quick, which is it's the optimism. Because, he's got a little bit of the Negadelphian stuff, but, like, you got the optimism. You get excited, and he gets excited about stuff. So there's a little bit of you in his DNA. So went to Cherry Hill, did cartoons and stuff like that in the newspaper. Eventually moved out to LA, was working in like reality TV and stuff like that. And then I said, you know what? I always wanted to do animation. I taught myself how to animate, just went online and just taught myself. And like the first cartoon I made that got traction was, sorry, I want to make sure I lean into the properly into the center there.
Great.
Okay. The first cartoon that got traction was a cartoon about Chase Utley and Ryan Howard. And they were just talking to each other on the bus about how much they love the feeling of hitting home runs. So he was just like, you know what I love? He's like, what do you love? He's like, I love home runs. I love home runs too. It's the best feeling. And then they talk about that for 2 minutes. And at the end, but you know what's even better? What? Grand slams. I love grand slams. It was so stupid. But it got some traction in the Philly area. And that became a cartoon called Sports Friends, which is all kind of athletes talking about talking about like, oh, I think field goals are so boring. Me too. And stuff like that. and we did 2 seasons of that. That's when Craig joined me. And that kind of got us in the sports cartoon track, even though Craig didn't know any really. I think,
well, no, my whole childhood was Adam desperately trying to get me into sports, and I'm actually wearing today a birthday gift he got me, which was this Boo shirt, which is a Philly sports shirt.
Greg.
And it's great because I can wear it to Eagles games and I can wear it on Halloween. So it's been like a really, really versatile gift. But yeah, he's been like, Craig, you got. So I follow the Eagles, I follow all the Phillies and Sixers and everything. But it's more casual. And then Adam's like, yo, I sold this cartoon about sports. can you move out to LA and help me animate? And I was like, I don't think I know that much about sports. He's like, you'll have to learn.
Greg was getting his master's in astrophysics at the time, so
yeah,
he was going another way.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
Yeah.
What?
I was thinking about becoming a scientist, and then Adam was like, "No, Craig, we got to make cartoons, man." And I was
Way
like,
more
"All
important.
right, you know what?" I was like, "I'm young. I'm going to take a chance." I moved out to Hollywood with Adam, and
why study the stars when you could be a star, Craig? Come on, come to Hollywood.
It was a great sales pitch, and then moved out, and then I started learning everything about basketball because we started making Game of Zones and all these sports things, and suddenly I was like in it deep. So it was a really fun and unexpected ride for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it true that you didn't, when you started Game of Zones, you weren't that familiar with Steph Curry?
Yeah. I was like, remind me who Steph Curry is. Now, to be fair, awesome. It was somewhat early in his career. Okay, right. But by the end, I could name everyone on the bench of every team. That's not true, but I could name the big guys.
Yeah, he knew. He had some deep cuts by the end. He knew the NBA, but then as soon as we left Bleacher Report to go and pitch this show, I think he deleted all his files in his brain. And
I went cold turkey. And couldn't tell you a single thing after 2020.
Yeah, ask him who the Eagles tight end is. He'll say Chad Lewis.
Literally.
What? First of all, what's the age difference between you guys?
6 years. Yeah.
What's it like working with each other? I mean, how beautiful to share success and to work with you, to work together. I love that. I love that part of the story.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful
and interesting.
All the time, just smooth sailing. You never get into it. It's just it's perfect. Every day is a blessing.
But you can imagine working with a sibling. It's very interesting because you double up on all the good stuff and you double up on all the bad stuff. Yeah. So like we don't compensate for each other's flaws. We just double down on them, but we also just have like this twin speak between each other that is a real big asset when you're trying to like do creative work, because like it's hard to kind of have that like singular creative vision, and we can kind of mind meld more than I think most people.
Yeah, also it helps because I was the older brother, always goofing off and saying stupid stuff, and Craig was always like, well, that was dumb. He's like, oh, that was funny, that was stupid. And so that's kind of what we bring to our cartoon, is that I just say a bunch of stupid stuff and Craig says, that was funny, that was dumb. And then I'll say, actually, Craig, I disagree. I think both things were funny. And he's like, nope, I'm the one who makes the decision. So he's kind of the decision maker, and I'm kind of the one who throws out a bunch of stuff, though there's a little bit of both.
I think from the creative process, that's such a great way to do it, because, as the creative, you're always going to be, your mind's always going, right? So you're constantly, Adam, throwing stuff out there, and, it's great because Craig could then edit, right? Like, part of the genius is making sure that, because you'll come up with something hysterical, but you don't got to know when to edit, right? And that's where, because I'm the guy that goes on and on and on, I need the editor.
Yeah, exactly. Growing up, I've always been Adam's like one-man audience and focus group. I was like, I was like 9 years old when he was 15, and I just like, he was like, this god-like figure who would be like, yo, Craig, we're gonna do something fun. We're gonna go into Philly. You're gonna try Jim's cheesesteaks. It's the best cheesesteak you can have. And I'd be like, oh my god! And like my whole life, I'm always like, that's the best cheesesteak, guys. You gotta try. And like, I just bought everything he said. And so then when we would like make cartoons, I was like able to be like sitting there like his audience and be like, that's not funny, that's not your best, but like, oh no, that's really good. And I think it's actually a huge asset for us creatively.
It makes me realize, it's like I'm like the cuz and you're like the cut. All right. And so or it's like the cousin to cut. That's gonna be our new tag team name.
I absolutely love it. How did the idea, Craig, you came up with the idea for Universal Basic Guys, and what was your thought process, and what was your muse? Like, I watch it and I'm hearing, and I saw this in one of the stories written about you, but I hear it, and I heard it before, but some of the sports talk in the characters, like I hear some of this stuff. Like, what was your muse, and tell us the story behind it.
Yeah, sure. So like it was growing up, listening to sports talk, all you and everyone and stuff like that, and hearing caller after caller be, just like, yo, McNabb stinks. He's throwing at everybody's feet. He can't, this and that, and it just developed this voice, and it's a little bit of me, like Mark. He's impulsive. It's a little bit of my dad because my dad talks a little like you, and he says like when I make something, it was like hysterical. You guys are hysterical, and so. There's a little bit of that in him. So he's kind of like an amalgam of all those things. And then Hank, it represents Craig when he was younger, like we talked about, and he just like thought everything was funny, thought everything was awesome and this and that. So he's kind of like the younger brother like that. So I think that was sort of that was how we came up with the characters. We always had these characters in our head. And then when we left Bleacher Report, we tried all these settings for them. Like we had one setting where they worked the 9th hole. They were like sold hot dogs at the 9th hole of Crescent Golf Course in Cherry Hill or something like that. And we had all these like ideas. We wanted to do, maybe they sell hoagies. And then we're like, there's already Bob's Burgers. We can't just do, Mark's Hoagies, Bob's Burgers. And so, then it was like, there's all this talk about universal basic income around that time. And we thought, that's fun launching off point, which is like, what do you do when if robots took all the jobs? Like, what are these guys? What are these WIP callers? Like, what do they do with their time when they, and try to find meaning in their lives? And now they've been telling the coach, run a frickin' ball, play defense. And now they got to put their money where their mouth is. So if you saw like the episode where he becomes the coach, he's just running the ball up the middle every time.
That was my favorite. I freaking loved it. It was hysterical because it was so on point. It's like, oh, wait. I'm the coach now. Oh my God! Yeah. Run the ball, run it! This is too much for me. It was absolutely hysterical.
Thank you. Yeah, the only thing we missed out, I wanted to do a defensive version where either he just kept saying, "Play defense." What are you doing? Play defense. That was the only thing he knew. Or he did the Madden thing that I used to do, where you just run punt block every single play, all out blitz.
Oh, that is hysterical. What was it? So here you go. So you're talking to Fox and you go on a pitch meeting and you're pitching the show. What was that like for you guys?
Craig, you want to speak to that, or I can?
I mean, it was surreal, first of all, because like we would grow up like watching these like Fox cartoons, and then we're like sitting in front of like Fox executives trying to sell our cartoon, which was like nuts. But it was like, as soon as like Adam starts doing the accent, they're just like, we love it. We love it. It's local. It's fresh. We're like, it's way better accents than Mayor of Easttown and Silver Linings Playbook. So you got it. I know shots fired, but that is true. That like when we made the show, we wanted to set out to like really authentically get the accent, and we felt like it wasn't quite properly portrayed in a lot of shows. But yeah, I don't know, Adam, like what were your
yeah, well, first of all, I mean, I think that like it's always been a little frustrating to me. There's great shows take place in Philadelphia, but they rarely get the sound of it, right. And we wanted to bring that to our cartoon and make it feel authentic. And I think that like, you look at a place like Fox and they want broad for everyone, but the truth is like, to be broad, I think you got to be authentic to what you're doing. And so we want so it's animated in Australia, and they'll like do things completely wonky there. They're a great team, but like they don't know the area. And we're like, no, this is what the highway signs look like, and this is what the things look like. And like, no, that building is way too cute. Okay, it's got to look like.
We'd be like sending them like Google Street View, like screen grabs of like Route 70 or like the AC Expressway or whatever. Like this is what Atlantic City looks like, we don't want it to be generic cartoon town. We're like, it needs to look like the area.
Yeah, but for the pitch, So sorry, go ahead.
No, that's what's brilliant about it. Is the authenticity of it, right? Like that adds to it. I mean, it's so great.
We couldn't put wings on their helmets for legal reasons, but just imagine that they're there.
We got as close as we possibly could, those jerseys and everything. Again, can't show exactly the Super Bowl ring as it looks, but but you can see in the background like the generic.
There's an almost Iverson jersey.
Yeah, almost Lindros there.
Yeah.
That's bad. Like the Flyer jersey, you can see like it's so great, man.
You got a Wing Bowl vague reference there. You got to show the
not quite, but it's the local version, the tiny version. That was like, so you got all kinds of stuff like that. We try to keep it real as much as we can.
Well, you know what? And I always thought as a creative that anything that's based off of real that happened, it makes for so much better. It resonates better than stuff that you just kind of make up out of the blue.
Yeah, like we try to keep it like surprising, and so like there's a certain way that like a lot of cartoons sound. I think a lot of people were bumped on the show initially a little bit because it sounds different, but we'll try to be realistic, and then surprise you and be totally wacky. And like I feel like you got to keep people off balance, a little like boxing. And I think that like when something's funny, it's usually because it's truthful or it's surprising. And so you try to be like, it's like, truthful, surprising, and so we do get really wacky with stuff, but it's out of nowhere. And then we often are like writing stuff and it's like, no, it's not like, we're not going for the joke here. What would this character say? This has got to come from character. He's got to have a point of view. And if there's a great joke, we'll put it in, but rarely do we want to veer off the exit for a joke. We want to just keep it on character, let the characters do the work and the situation do the work.
That's so brilliant. And listen, were you always, Adam, like the funny guy growing up? Did you always have that kind
I always thought I was. I don't know. You have to ask my friend.
Clearly, Craig believes that. So, you know, you were his god. You were his comedy god.
Craig was the funny guy in his group of friends, but when he's around me, I just talk so much that he doesn't get a chance to be. So
I'm like the quiet, funny guy who just like has like I like the selector of like, no, that's funny, like that's funny. So like I would just like I could tell what like what Adam's doing was funny. And I kind of had like this one man like show that was going on my whole life. Adam was like a roast comedian for our family and for all like this stuff that like, and it was just it was like so. I felt like I was so lucky because I would just be like, we'd be like long car, like road trips with my family. I'd be just like cracking up the whole time because that would be making me laugh. And so
this is so generous. Like this is so generous. Craig would also be crying because I'd like beat the crap out of him. So
Adam would scare me a lot.
Hey, real quick, I forgot. I went right through the diehards because we're also on Roku, and I went right through for the break. Thank you, diehards. I'm so engrossed in this conversation.
Thank you, diehards. Thank you.
Big fan.
Get that as a drop so we can play that. Tell me about your family. I'm a big believer in the family as a muse, right? Like mom and dad and uncles and grandparents and stuff. Mm-hmm. Tell us about your family.
Well, there's 3 kids. We got a sister in between. She's a teacher, and she's just as funny, but only kindergartners hear that at the moment. And then actually a funny story about our family. So our dad did Angelo Cataldi's colonoscopy on air when he did that. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And it was. Yeah, and Joe Conklin did the narration on that. And actually, in an episode coming up later about water ice, Joe Conklin does the voice of Mark's dad. And the network gave the note. They're like, he sounds too much like you. And I'm like, you are stereotyping the accent, okay? That it doesn't sound like
we're like, but everyone sounds like this.
Yeah. This is, you just hear the accent. It doesn't sound like me at all. What are you talking? But so that's our dad. He's a gastroenterologist, so he spent a lot of time looking at people's rears. And then our mom, she's like the creative one. She like wrote a play and a movie, and she's like the writer. And she ended up running she ran like a boutique little advertising agency in Cherry Hill.
Actually became the inspiration for an episode that hasn't come out yet, but is going to come out soon, where Mark tries to become an ad man, and he gets into like the Mad Men kind of like stuff. He wears the suit and everything. But it's like a local advertising agency that's basically like loosely based on like our mom's experience, when she would like advertise for like local retirement communities and stuff like that. So check that one out.
Oh, that's great! I freaking and that's the beauty of what you guys can do is pull off of real life stuff, right? Real life characters. And that's the thing that kind of resonates with it, where you see people, you go, all right, I know that was somebody. Like, I know that was a character. You can see how you brought that to life.
Yeah. And it was also, it was really important for us to like try to cast as much locally with the actors. So like we got an amazing woman, Talia Genevieve, who I don't know if you've ever seen Aunt Terry, but it's like this character. She does this like local film aunt, like mom. Yeah. So we were fans of her Instagram.
She's chewing the gum And she'll be like, let me tell you about so-and-so. And she's cracking the gum. She's great.
Yeah.
And so we were big fans of her. We're like, she's got to be Mark's wife, because she gets it. She knows the area. And so she became Tammy, and she absolutely killed it. And then Tommy Pope, who's a Philly comedian, does an incredible Delco accent. He became Steve Del Vecchio, Mark's rival. And then we got like Sherry O'Terry, who's from the area. She's in season 2 as Tammy's sister. And Kate Flannery, The Office. Yeah, she's from the Philly area. She's the waitress when like Mark gets his face ripped off and everything. So anyway, as much as we could, we were trying to pull from local people. We're trying to get Bradley Cooper on there if he's listening. Please come on the show. We know you can do it.
Oh, that would be perfect. I love it. Oh my God. It's so cool because it's a real tribute to us. I mean, what's your guys' individually favorite episode? Your favorite episode. Go ahead, Adam.
My favorite episode is the 44-6 game. No, I'm just I thought you meant Eagles episode. No,
maybe you're not the comedian.
No, I would say my favorite episode. It's a weird one coming up where Mark tries to be a Navy SEAL. I really like that one. It came out super weird. And then there's another one. One of the I do like the Eagles one. That is fun for me. But I also like the Jersey Devil one where they beat the Jersey Devil.
This isn't fair. You just said 3 different episodes, including the one I was going to say. Before I even got a chance to say mine.
There's no rules
my
here.
Favorite.
You can say the same ones.
I love the Jersey Devil one as well. And I mean, just because like it's so unique to the area, and I've just like ever since I learned about the Jersey Devil, I always was fascinated by how stupid the like look of it was. The whole idea of it is like it's got like a horse's body, like a goat head, and like tiny little legs. Like you ever see the drawing from like the 1910 newspaper?
It's like how you and it's like
I'm like this. I'm like this thing could never exist as a wild animal. So like I was like, we need to like put this in a cartoon and watch this thing walk around. And I was like, I sent that drawing to the Australian animation team. I was like, make it look exactly like this. And so, and then John Glazer, who voices him, is just like incredible. So like, I was really happy with how that one came together. We got to talk about a lot of like local lore, which was fun.
That's awesome. Oh my God. You guys are the best. I got to tell you, God bless you guys, man. Really.
You're the best.
I'm so proud of you.
Without you, there wouldn't be no Mark Hoagie, so you're a part of it too. Here's the thing: you can't. Thank you.
I know you'll be watching the Eagles-Cowboys on Sunday.
This should be a good one. I don't need competitive. I'm not. Listen, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe it's a trap, but like I don't need competitive Cowboys games. I just throw your backup quarterback in and let us go in there and pound you. Please let that happen because that is. I don't need any drama for these. I love just a good butt whooping. So hopefully that happens. But I don't want to count any chickens because the Eagles have a long history of when you think they're going to do making games that shouldn't be close. So we'll see.
Oh, that's fantastic, Craig. I know you're into it now. I know you are, brother. And it's hysterical. You are the comedic astrophysicist. It's tremendous. Yeah. You guys are the best. I mean, one day when you come into town, we got to go get a cheesesteak, all right? Because it'll be fun.
Amazing. Yeah, I've never even had Angelo's, so that's still on the list, yeah.
All right. Well, when you come, we always do. We take people to Angelo's all the time. So when you guys are in town, we'll take you over there and we'll have some laughs. We love it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Awesome. This is great. Thanks for having us.
You
love
guys
the show.
are awesome. Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
I love it. The Malamut brothers, who are just amazing. But those guys are hysterical.
They're funny guys, man.
They're awesome.
Oh my
hysterical.
God! I mean, I love it, man. I love those those hometown guys.
And I love that you get like little Easter eggs in the background. If you look at all the episodes, there's all references to Philly area and stuff.
Everywhere, right? Yeah, it's a great point that you bring up the Easter eggs and looking and seeing that sort of thing. I love it. All right. There's a big game that's not Eagles-Cowboys. Could you get our man?
Yeah.
JP, thanks. There's a big game. And you know me when it comes to youth sports. I love youth sports, man. I do. I love about it. I love everything about it. And, big believer in it and the good it does. Well, we got an incredible program in our backyard. And there's a big game that's coming up. And my man, Danny DeBernarditis, who is the athletic director from St. Joe's Prep, St. Joe's Prep versus LaSalle.
Oh,
Danny
man.
D.
Nice one this weekend, cuz.
Oh my
Got a
God.
big
What's
one.
up, brother?
How we doing, man?
What's going on, buddy?
Not much, grinding. Great time to be alive. We got a big game this weekend. Rematch from the first game. So it should be it's a lot of excitement. The game is sold out.
Yeah.
Completely sold out. It's going to be streamed live, which is good. We got a live stream set up so people can watch it at home. But it's sold out. 6,500 tickets. They're all gone. So yeah, it's
is this a revenge game for you guys?
yeah. So
Yeah.
the last couple of years, it's been a little bit one-sided our way recently.
Yeah.
They shook things up. They got a new coach, Brett Gordon, who played at Villanova, great local guy. And they got a really talented team. And we played them in early October, went to 4 overtimes.
Wow.
We lost by 1.
Epic game.
Wow.
They ran the Philly special.
No, they didn't.
And it kind of fell apart. And there was like a broken play. And they got the 2-point conversion in overtime to win.
Oh,
so
man.
it was electric. It was sold out that game. So it was a lot of excitement around it.
Where's this one at?
It's at Wissahickon High School.
Wissahickon High School.
Yeah, 1:00 on Saturday.
1:00 Saturday. This is going to be an epic battle.
Yeah, we got this, and hopefully the Eagles come down and smash the Cowboys on Sunday. So it'll be a good weekend.
I'm fascinated by the program that you've built.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Who's who of Division I NFL types have come through there. Tell us about how that step that you guys made to really, take it to another level.
Yeah, it started. There's always been a rich history. Gil Brooks was a coach in the early 2000s, and they pivoted to this guy named Gabe Infante, who is currently the associate head coach at Duke. He's down there with Manny Diaz.
Yeah,
now. And he put a lot of hard work in, and he kind of, established this amazing culture that has, made the prep. We've been to 10 of the last 11 state championships games. So perennial top 25 team. And it started on these young guys' backs. There was a guy who played at Penn State, John Reed. He was kind of the first one, John Runyon.
Yeah.
Some of those guys, they kind of built on their shoulders that have started this run. And it's really the brotherhood, the culture. They've established something great. And I'm just kind of keeping it moving, like they established it, and I'm just here to, keep.
Well, it's an amazing. I mean, you went through just a couple of them. There's, trotters and morning waves and
Swift, and they guys that all come
Pat
back.
Marvin. You kidding me?
And right now, Marvin's little brother is a freshman. His name is Jet Harrison, and he is 6'3", 185. As a freshman, starting receiver, and the father said he never weighed 185 his entire pro career. He is a specimen, and he's special. He's going to be the next great receiver out of the area, and schools are already lining up, drooling over.
So, this game this weekend, how many D1 players do you think are between both teams combined? You got a dozen or so?
Oh, more.
Yeah,
more. So just on our side, our senior class, we have 25 seniors that play football, and that's just a credit to the program. And last year we graduated 27, and 22 went on to play college football.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
It's
what, that's 27 and 22 play college football. That's amazing.
And the 5 didn't just decided to go in a different direction. They could have, right?
Wow.
So that's the type of program that we kind of try to establish where, every day we're getting better. We're playing against the best schedule, and we're really developing these kids so they can go on and follow their dreams at playing at the next level.
So you and Coach, right? you're fielding, inquiries from every major college, every major university
once the live period opens up our door at the prep, we have Dabo coming in. We have guys from all over the country that are lining up to kind of come in and talk to our young men and our student athletes. And the culture and what we've established, they know these guys are plug and play guys because of the culture that we've established. Our coaching staff does such a great job academically and athletically. They're ready for the college rigor right away. So these guys have been impact players right away, where the coaches know what type of product they're going to get from our student athletes.
Yeah, that's that's amazing. You think about, here we are in our backyard, and you got who's who college football, and how's the landscape changed? With NIL.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's crazy, right? And you're at the forefront of it because all those kids every university you said drooled over them, looking to get them to go there.
Well, we just, there's not NIL on our end, but we try to just inform the kids and give them the most resources to handle it, right?
You're right.
We have clinics and guys come in to speak about NIL and how, that you got to pay taxes on it. We're trying to inform these kids that when they do go ahead and they have the money, we have the resources and structure to help them navigate it, because it's a scary environment. It's the Wild West out there, and it changes monthly, right? It's still evolving. No one really knows what it's going to be yet. So we're just at the prep. We're just trying to give our student athletes obviously a great experience in high school, but also give them the tools, the next step to understand and how to navigate that NIL stuff. So
yeah, it's complete. Look, college football is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I love it. I'm a huge fan, and so I look at it and I go, hey, they're going to expand playoffs again. Yeah. The conferences are still evolving, right? At some point, there's going to be like an AFC and an NFC. All right, it's going to be two conferences. Sure. They'll probably call it the Big Ten and SEC, and everything will get swallowed up and then you'll have divisions that'll be geographic.
No, I completely agree. I think you're spot on with it. I mean, just because of the money that it's just generating so much, and they got to compete with each other, so they got to set up these big games, and they got to be a part of these conferences so that in conference you're playing these games, right? Because you got to kind of make your mark and navigate these playoffs. So it's evolving. I still don't think they know what it's going to be yet, but I think the playoffs awesome. I think it's going to be really exciting.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, the professionalization of youth sports.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happened. Like, I'm in the middle of it, right? Yeah. And it's been a passion with my children, and I'm starting a whole platform on it because I just think parents need to know about it. And it's a world that's underreported on.
For sure.
And you see it. And you're not just football. Like, the prep is every sport.
Yeah, we have 20 varsity sports teams. So we have Crew, which is a national program. We're top 5 in the country every year in Crew. We're sending kids to Harvard and Cal to row at the most prestigious schools. And then we have a squash team. We have mountain biking to sport now. Our mountain biking team is growing by the day. We have 45 kids. We have to almost start having cuts or tryouts for these sports because it's just evolving. We have ultimate frisbee.
What?
Yeah. So
you're a big fan of the ultimate frisbee. We always talk about that.
It's just evolving. Everything is, and the youth sports is continuing to grow. And like me and you talked about it before, it's just finding the niche and figuring out. Like me and Anthony talked about, do you do the trainer? Do you not do the trainer? Do you pay for the travel team? Do you not? And I think you got to kind of navigate it and find that mix where my advice is always get a trainer, watch what he's doing, and then you do it with your kid, right? And then you spend time with your kid, you're developing your kid, but you're also you're
bonding.
You're bonding, but you need to learn the tricks, right? So I always think there's a middle ground and a combination to kind of find it to really help these kids grow and develop.
Yeah,
I'm blown away. There's a school in Philadelphia that's got a squash team.
Yeah, man, we play for the Racket Club, man. Yeah. So we got about 22 kids that play, and we go to nationals. And
do they come in with squash skills, or do they have an interest in you guys teach them how to play?
At the prep, we kind of push kids to try new things and get out of their comfort zone. So we, kids are really outgoing, and we kind of encourage that. So we don't have kids coming in to have a lot.
You're not recruiting squash guys.
Have a ton of squash experience. Same with Crew. Our Crew team there's not a lot of kids who row before high school. We just have the structure. We have a boathouse. We have the boats to get them out there, and we have a great coaching staff to kind of push them in the right direction, and that's kind of how it is. So again, there's not a lot of youth squash or youth Crew going on out there, but we just, when we get them, we get our hands on them, we mold them, and we kind of give them the structure and resources to succeed at their sport.
That's awesome. How do you, as the AD, because obviously football gets all the headlines, the sexiest thing, you got good baseball.
It's the most polarizing.
But I mean, football is you're it. How do you reconcile, all the sports and making sure that, you're promoting everything, and it's a big deal, big job.
And luckily we have a great resource there at the school. The president, from top to bottom, they believe in it. They understand the importance of, helping a kid grow and develop to become a man, and life lessons you learn from sports. So I have an incredibly strong team over at the prep. These guys that work with me, I have a few guys that we work extremely hard together. We put a lot of hours to make sure everyone's feeling the proper love and everyone understands that.
Well, I love the messaging from the order, right? The messaging is important, right? The idea of what sports means, right? to development and the avenue that it can bring a kid.
Yeah.
But also how to be a just and good man. Like there are great life lessons to it.
And we try that through our mission and ministry team at the prep. We get out in the community. We're supposed to be where, our mission is being men and for and with others. So like teams have to do community service. They have to go out in the community. They have to go to kitchens, and that bonds them, but it also makes them a better all around person.
It does.
Sports, to me, I mean, I'm biased. I work in athletics, but it is the connector of all. I think when you're a part of a team, it teaches you so many lessons for life. Like you're gonna have people you don't want to deal with. You're gonna have struggles. You're gonna have, you're fighting for playing time. That's life, man. And you're gonna have to figure that stuff out. And I think sports is a huge avenue to make you a better all around.
Dude, it prepares you for failure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the biggest thing. Like, because, it's okay. You don't have to go into a shell if you fail.
For sure.
Right? It teaches you to fight through it. And 100%. Then once you fail and you've experienced failure, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
And then B, you also know the other side of it, which is success.
Yep.
And it makes you appreciate success.
For sure. I always say adversity builds character, right?
Yeah.
So like you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And some people don't experience it until later in life, a loss. So like having sports, it kind of pushes it to the forefront. So yeah, I mean, it's a great. I'm passionate about it. Obviously, I love it. I'm following you and your boys. They're doing great. I'm excited for them to have their journeys and keep playing the sports they love. I think it's important.
I mean, it's amazing. I went to school in Western PA for college, and that was a long time ago. But they didn't even. That was like Mount Union and Mount Vernon. They didn't even. I talked to those guys. They'd be like, Southeastern PA football, get out of here. And you guys have now changed the whole landscape with what you're doing there.
I mean, we've been to 10 out of the last 11. We've won 9 state championships.
Yeah.
So we're doing our thing.
Wow.
This year, so our captains this year, we have 2 Ohio State commits, a running back and defensive tackle, and they're both out for the year. Both got injuries early in the season, so they're both down, but they're going to Ohio State. Phenomenal kids.
Wow.
We got a linebacker going to Notre Dame, Anthony Sacca, whose father played.
Tony
Sacca.
I love it.
Played
His brother John was quarterback too.
Phenomenal athletes.
They're good people, the Sackers. Yeah.
Middle linebacker, Notre Dame. We got an outside linebacker on the Penn State. And then so they're the main ones, people like the big names. But we're also young. We're playing a sophomore quarterback. His name's Charlie Falk. Phenomenal kid. Jet Harrison's starting receiver. He's a freshman. So we have a good mix. This team is a good mix of young and old. But LaSalle is a tremendous kids. Their quarterback was going to Rutgers. He just decommitted, but he's phenomenal. And they have the number 1 kid in the junior class, this kid Joey O'Brien, who is a two-way kid. He's incredibly special, and he's getting recruited by Georgia, Bama.
Wow.
So,
and what position is he?
He plays. I don't know if he's going to play receiver or DB, but he's getting recruited. I think he's kind of a unicorn.
Wow.
He's a freak. So he's the number 1 player in the junior class in the state of PA.
Wow.
And he'll go wherever he wants. And he's special. So it's going to be.
That's awesome,
battle,
man. What a game, man. That's a great game.
There's a lot of guys that are going to play on Sunday that will play too on Saturday, I think.
That's great.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
It's going to be special. And then it kind of stinks for us because we're, I'm biased, but I think we're the 1 and 2 teams in the state. And we're playing each other to just go to the state.
Yeah.
So then
they need to change that.
Well, yeah.
They need to do it almost like the college tournament now.
Like an NCAA tournament.
Exactly. You got to do that. Yeah.
So it goes by districts and the amount of teams you have by your district. So Philadelphia, with the public and the private and Catholic schools and the charter schools, we get 1 bid each. So then we have to play each other to go. So
that's not cool.
Yeah, I mean, the best tour teams don't always make it, but it is great to win a state championship, and you got to play so in Philly, you got to play the best to get through it, right? So it sets us up for what's to come, and we're excited about it. But LaSalle is a huge rival, but, we're good friends with them, and we're passionate about sports, and we compete, and, we're excited. I think
that's awesome, man.
I think we're ready for it. I think we're young, and we kind of grew early in the year, but I think we're rolling right now, and I'm excited for the game Saturday.
Can't wait. And people can stream it, right?
So Bob Long Sports, he's phenomenal. He has the YouTube channel set up, and we're going to push everyone there. So it is now free. We were going to do a paywall. It's now free on Bob Long Sports.
Good.
And like I said, it's sold out. To sell out a high school football game days in advance. I mean,
man, it's a big deal.
Early this week.
Yeah.
So A lot of hype around.
It's all scouts, apparently.
Oh, yeah. You got that right. Be a lot over there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Dan, what a pleasure, man. It's so good seeing you, brother.
Yeah, and you're the best. I appreciate all you do for the kids. I mean, I know you're trying to open up different avenues and giving a lot of insight, and it's important.
It is. People need to understand it.
And, you're beloved in the city, so I appreciate every time reaching out to you.
We love you, brother.
Yeah,
proud of you, man.
Yeah, nice work,
Big
man.
time.
Yeah.
Danny, oh, man, it's the best. We'll come back. We got to do our back in the day Rite Aid moment. Back. Let's do it, baby.
We're going back. We're going back. We're going back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah!
There it is. Our Rite Aid back in the moment. JP, what'd you cook up for us, buddy?
All right, well, cuz I know you're gonna like this one. So look, Sunday we're all expecting Eagles to roll over the Dallas Cowboys, but a big performance should be expected by Saquon Barkley. So let's get him some inspiration, right? Cuz let's go back.
I love this
to the pickle juice game. Cuz
wow, the pickle juice.
Let's get some pickle juice in here.
I love that.
Right now. It'd be nice and yummy.
Here's New Staley again. And Staley is off to the races unless somebody runs him down, and here comes Darren Woodson to catch him. And Staley has to be exhausted.
Look at him, 28 for 200 yards, and that's both, total yards. That's both catching and running.
And those defensive linemen.
Yeah, they didn't do much today. They didn't put much pressure on Donovan McNabb.
Oh, there goes Duke Staley. Foot race. Chased by Larimore. Staley gets inside the 5. Ryan McNeil finally.
Also, too,
Deuce!
The gloves where he cut off the fingertips.
Yeah.
That's a great look, too.
Yeah, it was cool.
That was.
Wow, Deuce, man. That's a good call, man.
In the Summerall.
Yeah. Now, Summerall's the best.
Yeah.
Saquon go for 210 rushing yards.
I love that. I absolutely love it. I think that's fantastic.
Uh-oh. We got the one. We got the only Black Gritty on the line.
Yeah. BG! What's going on, BG?
So first and foremost, VG, leave Tortorella alone, okay? Over in Mother Russia, hockey's you. You know what I mean? They do what they got to do. And tomorrow, if you're out in King of Prussia, I'm going to be out there with Bill at the live watch party. Go to PHLY events, you know what I mean? Get your ticket. Come hang out with your boy BG and Bill. You know what I mean? You're out here doing that hockey thing. But leave Tortorella alone. You know what I mean? He's here for a good time, not a long time, all right? They're rushing their heart out there. He's like a unicorn compared to Russia. All right, just relax.
I didn't expect this out of BG.
Just relax. I love grumping, and you know what else I love? That sign you got on your desk right now, bro.
That's right.
A whole lot of people been acting like it's not Dallas week.
Exactly.
Just because they're a dumpster fire and they're 1-15, you acting like what? You're trying to tell me what? You act like I don't want the smoke? Nah, bro, I want all the smoke, cuz. Nah, cuz, I want all the smoke. I don't care what nobody say. It's Dallas week. I'm losing it. I burned the house down in this beef if we don't beat Dallas. Now, if I told you we didn't beat them, then you're going to act like you care. I don't care. If Dak's hurt, it's Brokeback Mountain season. We need to go out there to Jerry's World and burn that sucker down. Jalen ain't never won there. Go out there and get your George W. They came in my house when I had Minshew Magic and ran off 50 points. They didn't give a ham sandwich about who was playing. So I care right now. Every time I got to play Dallas, they suck. And I'll tell you again, all the smoke will be had. And we got to go out there and do it.
It's fabulous. He's the greatest.
I'm with that, cuz. Let's do the big spike, cuz. I'm all in. Let's do it.
I love it. I love it. Fake spike. I love that you learned about that. Yeah. You're all about it.
Got a whole production team going on there.
That's fantastic. The smoke was the best. It was the best. Hey, we got a big weekend here at PHLY. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so tomorrow we'll have the watch party. BG talked about it. Screwballs and King of Prussia. So Flyers, Panthers. Will Mishkov get scratched or not? We'll find out. But hang out with Bill and all the PHY Flyers crew. And then on Sunday, for the Dallas game, they'll be at the Rook over in Manny Young. Great stuff. Listen, Of course, more information will be on all PHLY/events. You can find all the information there. But you want to get in because we do these raffles, we give away some really good stuff. Some box suite tickets,
swag,
jerseys, memorabilia, all that. So make sure you guys are checking it out. If you got nothing to do, you know what to do now.
Look at that.
You got something to do. Change your plans. Cross it off. Change your plans. Get your butts there.
All right. Prediction. Andrew Frazier. What do you see Sunday?
34-17. Let's go Birds.
34-17.
Voice that accent though. It's like a southerner voice or something.
What?
You sound like a hillbilly or a southern voice.
34-17. Let's go Birds. Southerner? Where are you getting southern?
I don't know what that is.
JP.
All right, so because I don't trust Sirianni with 4 downs and 2-point conversions and all that good stuff, I'm going to give you a wacky score line. So I'll say 36-13. Birds get the dub.
All right, I like that. 36-13.
38-10.
38-10. I love it. I'm going to go 40 burger. 40 burger. Yeah. I'll go 41-20.
All right.
Nice.
Birds in a
Nice.
in a
Cooper,
lot.
they're going to put up 20 with Cooper?
I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Coopadelphia.
Rag.
Should have went shutout.
Rag type of thing. Everybody, have a great weekend. We love you. Go Birds. See you Monday.
Go Birds.
Dallas, you suck.
We all silly like the mayor.